All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Here we are, the day before the eve of the 4th of July. Happy, happy day before the eve of the 4th of July. Phew.
It's hard to.
I think I got that right. If not,
Sounded right.
close.
Eve of the
It's close. So thank you very much for the extra couple of minutes here this morning. We were making real good progress, and I think we got to exactly the place we needed to. Um, as we were going through reviewing your package from yesterday and then putting ours together, we realized that there were several opportunities for TAs. So if you're amenable, we'll start with our potential TAs, and then we can roll into our package.
Okay.
If there was
That's
any other note from yesterday.
no,
Good.
fine.
Great. All right. I'm gonna use the numbering from our handy dandy shared proposal guide, but then I'll also use my words. So the first one that, based on conversations up to this point and then yesterday, the city number 7, which is Article 4, Section C, sick leave. This is the one that were, I think they were lawyer verbiage cleanups related to workers' comp. Not sure. We haven't revisited this one, I think, since we initially talked
Yeah.
about them. So wanted to put that one out there and see where we might be on it.
Yeah, did we drop it back in a today folder?
Oh,
Can,
we sure could. Yeah,
That'd be
absolutely.
helpful, just so we can
um,
get our eyes on it.
what do we wanna, can I call it, can I put TA out there and then put the Word document in a TA folder, and if we don't sign it, it's
Sure.
not a, does that make sense? So it's not a.
Potential TAs. Yeah, we
I think-
realized we had a lot of versions of a lot of things
Yeah.
going, and we thought if there was anything we
Yeah.
might be able to settle and get, so that was where our heads were at. We were like, okay, we actually think we talked through these and we're good. If we can get them off the table and
Mhm.
move on, that would be great. Cause yeah, we are starting to rack up proposals, counters, amended counters.
Yeah, I think as we were going through our list of proposals, that's the one that came up that we were trying to find and filter through everything.
Right.
Okay, so we're on city 7, is that correct?
City 7.
Did you create the folder? The 7 too? Maybe I'm just not seeing
See
it.
that, seen it yet either.
Okay,
Stand by.
standby, refresh.
Should be out.
Share, right, yes.
See 7-1, but I don't see 7-2.
Neither do I.
I knew why. I'm out.
Not going to the internet.
Oh, went to night mode.
I didn't. I just hit refresh and it decided to change.
Apparently I need to connect to the network and not just create it on my local machine.
Oh,
So,
I mean,
now it
we
should
got Zoom up, and so there must be some technical challenge. I could try to do it.
So there it is.
Refreshing, trying to
Oh, just saw.
redfish.
Okay.
yeah, no,
There's a campsite.
And you put it in TA?
I put it in TA. So there's C7. And that was, yeah. So that was from the 2nd of June.
I had to add labels because I was getting myself so confused. So
That's helpful. Chief, in looking at this, wonder if you can help me through and it says member declines appropriate modified duty. But what is the more definitive definition of appropriate modified duty?
I would assume that means it's in accordance with their restrictions. Because
Yeah, I would assume that has to do with whatever the medical
Mhm.
assessment says they can and cannot do.
Okay.
And whether or not that modified aligns with
Yep.
that.
Perfect.
we can't say you have to go
Sure. Yeah,
stock
If
stores
the
right,
if
physician
they
says they can.
can't lift.
Have a broken wing.
I just wanted to clarify just for intent a little
Uh,
bit. I'm fine with the verbiage as long as, we have clarified intent, so. So short of that, kind of added in separation of employment by the member or termination. Those were kind of the biggest reasons this one was because we hadn't addressed that. I know we changed to an approved physician, which we have done also.
Again, I want to say that as you mentioned there, separation and termination, the intent is not that this causes separation or termination.
But should they?
But should they
Right.
separate or terminate
Right.
or other reasons, then this would become applicable. So it's not intended to change anything.
Yep.
Team member rights.
We're good. We can, okay, we can TA that. I only sign in signature blocks, chief.
We had a lot of
Ew.
discussion about that
I-
and whether or not, that was part of my 10-15. I'm like, can we, and I still,
Honestly, this all came about in the last like 35, 40 minutes, because I'm like,
we're like, wait a minute.
these look like,
we're-
you guys are saying why are we still talking about these? Let's just get them done. And then like.
Yeah.
And then she's like, do you have a signature block? And I'm like, do we have another 15 minutes to?
Like, okay, no signature blocks. Skip the signature. Okay, great. C7, check. All right. The next one we located is C8. Romeo dropped
Out there.
that one in. It is City 8, it's Article 4, Section G, the HRA VIPA. And this is the one that clarifies what gets negotiated in the healthcare trust negotiation and what gets negotiated in
Yeah.
this.
I'm just gonna pause. We're not ready to sign this at all. This, we really have a big discussion of tying it to binding fact finding because that binding fact finding really adds protection to us if we shift this outside of the contract. So we want to continue to have discussion based on the proposals as they continue on this one specifically.
All right, got it. Let's go to C11. And that is Article 3, that's section I. This is the modification that we would pay out if at separation, if the member requests it, we would do 48 hours. If not, it would roll in the next payroll.
Perfect. Here, just sign.
Oh, go ahead. We can trade these. You go first this time. Okay. A C13. This one is Article 5, Section E. And it has to do, we had a whole lot of discussion about this in an informational sidebar around the basic life support and advanced life support response units. So the medical response units
Yeah.
and the language we discussed.
We are not ready to sign either. I mean, that would definitely be part of the package. That's a pretty big benefit for us that we're giving up. We're in agreement with language, but it's definitely part of packaging
Part of
things together.
packaging.
Makes sense.
Great. That was what we were looking for. We're like, are there
Perfect.
ones we can? Are there other ones that need to move in the package? Okay. We've been around the block on this one a couple of times. We have retitled this one, City 3-4. And it is that vacation sell down that we broke apart
Yes,
into multiple. And then we tried to TA last week and realized that in fact, we hadn't actually
Mhm.
broken it apart appropriately. So.
I dropped it.
You got it. Okay. So, the portion that we did TA, we just left unamended because we had TA'd
Yes.
it separately.
Yes.
So, in the red lines are the things that we had still been discussing and putting dollar amounts to.
yes,
So redlined there is,
It's two changes.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
sell down dates, so
Yeah.
it changes November 30th, so that we close out the fiscal year. And then it removes the notification component because the system has the ability to do.
yes. And if we're in the same boat, we're not ready to sign off on that. That has a definitive wage component or benefit component to it.
great. We have them in our package as well, so
Sure.
it's. Okay, and then, the last one was, it started out as union number 4. It's Article 3, Section L deployments. And this is our very fun portal to portal or the. So we'll let Romeo drop that one. Think we got there through the discussions on all of the language, but want that one out for review.
See, U form.
U
So it's the city counter to the deployment proposal.
I'm good with it. You guys have any thoughts, considerations?
Any reason to decide so we define portal to portal under the payment, like where we do comp pay or base pay? Any reason to do that or for tying it to more IGMA?
I think it, kind of defines it here
Yeah.
in the article itself. So I think I'm okay with not having to put it in definitions, but I see where you're going with it.
Yeah, that's why we tried to define it here. The other component is that portal is an established, I forget what the right word is. I'm gonna say term of art, but that's not the right thing, but it is an established like workers payroll
Mhm.
term.
Okay.
So I think by calling out clearly what is included, it helps delineate right in the language. Hey, travel, staging, rest, all that stuff is.
Let's-
So I'm okay with not including it. And just leaving it at that.
Okay, take make reference if you need.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Good.
All right. Oh, sorry, my turn. Okay. Signatures get squigglier as we go. All right. Hey, 3TA.
What a
Look at it
deal.
go. Thank you very much, Tammy.
So refresh my memory now. So we said we TA'd
City 7,
City 7,
Yep.
City 11.
City 11, and
Union
Union 4.
Cool. Progress. All right. So, with that, we really appreciated the format that you all took yesterday. So we're going to try to introduce our package in the same format.
Right.
We we ended up with several we're going to call them new proposals, but a lot of these are language that we discussed.
Mhm.
And it was some blend of yours and ours, or something that we reached agreement on, but we hadn't actually put into writing. So we will start out the way that you all did yesterday, introduce those, and we can kind of walk through those one by one. And then we also have a summary sheet of a package that will then drop out.
Perfect.
Because of we've been back and forth, we have a proposal, a counter, an amended counter. We also bundled all of the actual language into one PDF
Mhm.
so that we're really clear
Mhm.
on which one we are talking about. So there will be it's a couple of files and it's meaty, but we were wanting to be sure that we were really, really clear on
Mhm.
which version of which one we're at. So.
Okay.
So with that, I think we'll just work through these in numeric order, which was how they were introduced. So these are in no, it's just numeric order. There's nothing symbolic behind it.
And I did dump the folder out there. I just called it package. And so as Christine said, you can see the whole package is out there. The TAs are up to the 5 that we have. It doesn't include obviously the 3 we just did.
Sure.
But that's out there. And then I included all of the Word documents with the latest counter proposal, new proposal, modification, whatever. And then there's a PDF in there,
Mhm.
which just locks them all down to a
Sure.
PDF red line with each document.
Got it.
And then
I'm not
I don't need,
seeing this, chief.
I'm not.
I got it right now. Right there.
Put it on the
Package.
package?
Oh,
I did,
It-
I did, because it doesn't, this is, I killed some, it's in the called package.
it's like halfway, it's like halfway down.
It's right
Oh,
under.
like city package. So the city package PDF is the entire document. The city package Word is just this document. So as Christine's walking through, I figured it was time to kill some trees. It's
I'm making some.
Simple.
Okay. So let's start with union number 2. Which in the folder is,
Skipping union number 1. or-
we were just gonna talk through like you did,
Oh,
anything
the
that's
new.
new.
Got it.
Yeah, let's,
Yeah.
if that's okay,
Yes,
we'll
that's
talk
totally
through
fine.
kind of the
Yeah.
new ones, because those I feel like are a little meatier. Anything that doesn't have a new next to it is, we've already talked it, so.
Okay.
Okay. Unfortunately, because of the folders and how Microsoft Office does it, U2 is at the bottom.
Okay.
If only. Okay. So specialty teams, we've had quite a bit of discussion on, and we understand for you all, this is a high priority item. We had said in our response to the original proposals that we were not interested in entertaining a base percentage. And so we have brought back a flat rate increase. And we do acknowledge these haven't been updated in 20 years. We are interested in updating them. However, we would like to do that as a flat rate. So that is specialty team pay categories.
So it looks like there's a $3 per, what was the calculation? If we're trying to reach a 20-year gap of inflation. Was that included in a calculation? Was the number just a random
We did a
calculation?
3% as a starting off point.
Per year? Or just 3% total? Okay,
There's a 3% increase.
okay,
3%.
Categories.
to a flat base.
Next one that is new that we haven't already talked to is Union 15. And this is the parental leave, and we've got two different components to it. So let's start with the first document that is in there, U15, Article 4, Section E, parental leave. So what we did in this one, I think this is basically what you all had proposed in terms of the 2 weeks for a day shift or 2 tours for folks that are on the line. The second document that is also starts out U15 is the city policy. So we had talked about wanting and needing to align this so that it was in keeping with all of federal regulations, city policies. But we didn't want to put that level of detail in contract language. But we did think it would only be fair to talk through that. So I'm actually going to hand it over to Stacy to talk through the document that's labeled policy at the end of it.
Yeah, there's just, this really, we call it policy, but it's the best practice in how you administer parental leave, and it just follows like concurrent with FMLA. There's a 60-day period where you have to be employed prior to the benefit being eligible. We just mirrored what the city did. That policy is based on governmental best practice. And so what we've talked about, and we haven't landed on anything in particular, is if this were to be part of an approved package, we would essentially either put the administrative or the policy piece in GO and reference CLA in our handbook, or we would find a way. What doesn't make sense is to have 2 policies out there. If something changes with fire, then of course it's in conflict with the policy that's in the handbook, and that doesn't make any sense. So we're trying to find a way to say, here's how we would administer it based on the benefit that you have asked for. It'd be administered the same, even though the benefit is different for the city than it is for fire.
Mhm.
So that's essentially what we're trying to accomplish with this.
And we wanted to be clear with how that all worked, because upfront it, much like we were working through with the task book or other things, it's like, okay, but what does this actually mean, or how would it apply? So
Right.
that was what we attempted to do with our summary of that policy.
Was there any change in doing this to costing? Is it costing exactly the same?
Costing's exactly the
Costing
same.
exactly the
This
same.
really is just when you become eligible, how it concurrently runs with FMLA. It really has no impact whatsoever to the benefit itself. Yeah.
We just wanted to be really clear and transparent in how that all works, since
Mhm.
it would be a new benefit for your members, wanted to be upfront about what it looked like in practice. Okay.
Do you guys have a preference as we continue to work through that, whether it city policy references, CLA, GO, stuff like that? Or where all the policy stuff lives?
Yeah, I think. Because we have,
Fewer
I mean,
today.
what we don't want to do is we don't want to tie the CLA to city policy, right? The CLA supersedes city policy. So we don't want to necessarily tie the CLA to the city policy and then say, hey, whatever city policy is, that then in turn comes into the CLA. So if we just reference that, here is the CLA language, and here's the section of the legality, the FMLA, and running it concurrently. We're okay with referencing the city policy in that. but we would potentially want to make sure that we had either a line in there that said, you know, this, I think it would help if we said this supersedes city policy. So because we run into an issue all the time with city policy, and the reality is city policy, if it is something that affects fire, there is supposed to be notification that goes to the union, and that notification has never happened since I have been here. And so we run into this all the time where it's, oh, there was a change to city policy that we weren't aware of. And the reality is most of us read the city policy handbook when we get hired, and then never again. So
Almost all employees do that.
yeah. So as those changes happen, then we start running into the grievances and start running into just headaches. So that would be the only thing I'd probably say is we might want to reference that. A line. So
That's the exact same discussion that we had. I mean,
Yeah,
almost
exactly.
word for word was debating back and forth between geo, city
Geo.
policy, CLA.
I don't want to
Right.
create a conflict if one changes or the other changes.
Right.
I don't want to have to constantly, it's just, this is different for a reason it exists here.
Right.
This is how we administer it.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So we tried to capture the benefit in the CLA.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure out where to put that
Where to
other.
put the-
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's the concept. So sorry to derail us
No,
a little bit, but
So that was Union 15, right?
Yes.
And make sure that the tracking on my own sheet. Okay, so let's jump into city 12. Probably means scrolling back.
I can take this one if you want, Christine.
Please go right ahead.
So this is the change to consecutive hours. So as we discussed, we never actually introduced, we talked about changing 72 to 96, but we never actually introduced it. We didn't know if you guys were going to counter, or if we were going to just
Yeah,
include it.
right.
Long story short, it's new only because we changed the 72 that we originally proposed to 96. So it's a new proposal dated today that replaces our 72-hour.
Got it.
But other than that, it's exactly the same, just changes the 72 to 96.
Perfect.
Let's move to city 14. This one, again, we've had a lot of discussion on. This is the health and wellness, physical fitness. And we acknowledge, we heard you loud and clear yesterday that this is one we just don't feel like we're quite ready for. However, to keep the conversation moving, we wanted to put and document the framework, understanding that more work needs to be done on it. And Chief, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, I think that's, right now it's included in our package.
Mhm.
I guess as we continue to move through, we'll see kind of what our next steps are, but we would like to, it's important to us, right? I think it's important to you guys as well. We don't want to give it up just yet. If we can make some progress, or we can have some counters, or we can maybe change format or change wording in the proposal, we're open to that discussion. So it's included in our package. We understand it's not 100% baked.
Got it.
We don't want to say no just yet.
Right. Got it.
Up is city 16. Promotional exams. Again, another one that I think we've talked about quite a few times. And there was just one cleanup in that, Chief, that I'll let you talk through.
So this goes back, or it goes back to, it goes to the proposed counter. With the only change being the last line in blue. And the previous one basically just said, if you guys deem it, it is what it is. This one changes it just slightly. It just makes me feel a little better and lets me sleep at night. And it says, if the union determines based upon a reasonable need that a given interim promotional exam cannot wait, it shall be given within 90 days. So it just softens that language ever so slightly. I honestly don't know that it even changes intent, but it does make me feel better. So.
At some point, you get
Fair
your
enough.
own
Yeah,
feelings, and we're going to accommodate them. And then, 17 is net new, and it's our response, to your base wage proposal. And I do want to talk through intent on this one, because I think it's important for everyone to hear and understand. So as part of our package, we have included, as we've discussed quite a bit, the career development ladder and the AEMT. And we recognize that that represents a really substantial change for members. And this is a moment in time where we are saying like, whoa, we're changing the whole framework for how these various things work. And so, what we are proposing is in year one, we would do a one-time restructuring payment in acknowledgement of those changes because those changes are going to take a while to play out. So in year one, we would be doing a 3% one-time restructuring payment. And then in years 2, 3, and 4, a 1% base raise. And all of that ties out to what we talked through yesterday in the city's overall financial constraints. So we're trying to put together a package that keeps us in a responsible fiscal state, makes some really dramatic and long-term changes to how we progress folks through career ladder, but then also keeps a base wage increase in there for market competitiveness.
What does one-time restructure payment of 3% of base rate mean? Why would we not just say 3%? It feels very odd that it's pulled out, has different verbiage to it instead of saying year one is a 3% base.
Yeah.
It truly is a one-time payment. So
It
it
would be a one-time payout. It would.
So it's a cash payout of 3%.
Yep.
It's not an increase of the base rate.
correct.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Below that, actually, we should note we should say more words in that one. That 3% one-time restructure payment is approximately $4,200 per member. So this is gross averages here. So that is, we think there is a significant value to that. And that again is in acknowledgement of all of these other changes, especially the career ladder, which would take some time, about a year, for folks to start to progress through and up to that. So we're seeing this as kind of a bridge until some of those, you get to your year one and you start making your way up the career ladder. So that's how we're thinking about it. As Romeo noted, in the summary of the package, we listed out the 5 tentative agreements that we had done before today. So those are the ones we have done in previous weeks. Obviously, the ones we've just signed haven't been included. And then we just itemized out either things that were withdrawn or not included, some based on signaling that you gave yesterday, and then others that we thought based on our looking at the package. Oh. So probably much like when you introduced your package, much digestion to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to go through what's here, and we've got tentative agreements. So you're saying that all of our are withdrawn minus career development? Is that what?
Do you want to start from the,
I think it's just here.
okay, just the withdrawn, not included?
Yeah.
Okay, we can walk through those. So union, hold on, I'm gonna pull up my handy cheat sheet here. So union number 7, so in withdrawn, not included, That was the 3-hour vacation blocks, is that right?
Nope, the Union 7 should be.
Oh, that was-
Calculating VL.
Thank you. Go ahead, chief.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, that was the Union 7 was, just that. It was how to calculate the VL blocks, right? Or not blocks, the VL numbers. So based upon you guys not including it in yours yesterday, we made the assumption that our counter was to be withdrawn. If you guys want to keep that on the table, we can
Was that the authorized strength?
authorize.
The authorized, yeah.
Okay, we wanted that included. I think we had it as we were there. So we just kind of had it installed. Okay, and that's hard.
Oh, I thought you guys
Oh,
had it
okay.
as removed.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
Okay,
we can continue
Yeah.
to talk
Claire,
that
we'll
one.
mark that one up to clerical error. Okay, so pull that back.
the authorized strength, yeah. I think
Authorized
it's-
strength.
Yeah, is
Okay.
it critically important that we at least define it.
So likely what we would do there then in our package is add back our original proposed.
Sure.
So Union 8 was Article 4, Section A, vacations. This one was the 3-hour block.
That's correct.
There we go. Union 9.
And from our standpoint, kind of like we said before, that one, it's that the value is just not there.
So fair to, we can probably circumvent this for time's sake. Sick leave was pulled. So theoretically, step raise was there. And if it wasn't,
Maybe we should go through the whole
Do
package
you want to go
now,
through the whole?
so we can talk through everything that's in the package rather than, well, because there's like sick leave is in there in some way, shapes or forms, a deferred comp is in there in some way,
Yes.
shape or form. So maybe we should walk through.
yeah,
Should we? go
Those are
through
just
from the
not
top?
changed from our original.
okay. See, that's helpful.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they're still in the package, but we've.
Let's
Yeah.
walk through
We'll-
the
we'll walk through from the
package
top.
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the only other one that I want to jump in real quick with is Union 10. So clerical error there. This is career development.
Mhm.
So I do want to bring that one up and look at that. So look at Union 10. Because this did change from, as you guys produced a counter yesterday, if you will, this changes up that counter a little bit and I'll walk through it.
Okay.
We can do it one of two ways. I didn't change yours,
Mhm.
but I pulled wording from yours.
Okay.
So if we want to if you want to pull up yours side by side with this, or I put notes over in the sidebar, kind of like you guys did, that shows what I changed
Mhm.
or added in here. But please review this because I think I added everything into this, but it wasn't intentional if I didn't call it out in the sidebars, I guess what I'm getting at. So the first one is, I wanted to clarify, originally we had said biannually, and talking with, it sounds like that group, there was some agreement that we should do it annually.
Mhm.
The one thing that we brought back to that team was like battalion chief training.
Mhm.
There may not be a need for that annually.
Mhm.
So this intends to soften that language and change that battalion chief only training. So we'd still offer the senior firefighter and the captain, if you will,
Mhm.
annually. The battalion chief shall be offered biannually if no reasonable need exists.
Okay.
So kind of trying to play that middle ground with that battalion chief's training, because my gut reaction is we're probably not going to need to deliver that every year.
Right.
Maybe year 1, year 2 we do,
Sure.
but by year 3, I don't know that we're going to. I think they're going to be exploring the other paths with the Boise Fire Executive Office.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So that's intended to soften that language a little bit to not require the BC to be in. Rest of the stuff stays pretty consistent there. Working out of class. This matches your language, but it does go back to our 2% percentage. for career development increases that we had originally proposed. So it goes back and it adds in the pay language in here, but it changes your 4 to 2. It adds back in the fire marshal, assistant chief, captain prevention. So again, this language is really just trying to say fire marshal division chief, the person who can work out a class to them are the assistant chief or a captain 3. This stuff stays there. The one thing I do want to talk a little bit about is I don't think it changes intent at all, but it may clean up clarity wise is the 40-hour. So in this proposal, we use captain 1 40-hour, captain 2 40-hour, captain 3 40-hour. Because we have a definition for 40-hour member, it clearly defines its logistics, training, prevention, and wildland. So rather than making it really wordy in the table, I left it as 40-hour. Your counter back to us changed it back to the individual names.
Right.
I don't know if you guys care or not, but do want to call it out that this proposal goes back to the 40-hour just clearly from a clearly clerical, not having to type those 4 things. Sure. Then we go down to the captain suppression. This changed that captain 3 language to exactly what you guys said. So shall be effective upon completion of the working out of class or completion of the Boise Fire Executive Development Program. And then the captain, so this one I did change to 40-hour versus logistics training, blah, blah, blah. But this language should be your proposal. So captain 2 40-hour upon successful completion of the division specific task book or completion of the suppression task book and academy held for the last suppression rank. And then captain 3 is 40-hour will be effective once a member has served 7 years as a captain in any rank. I did clean up some of the language there, but I think it says, because you guys had 7 years as a op captain, 7 years as it. So I think this just basically says if you served as a captain 7 years of any rank, I don't care. You check the box. Or successful completion of the WOC for the rank of last held suppression rank or completion of the executive development. So that's the language there. The 6 is your language with the exception of changing 18 months to 12 months. And the reason why we said 12 months is that's kind of our belief that we can probably move through the program in about 12 months when they go back. Once again, not much more scientific than that. So it changes to 18 to 12. But adds in the grandfathering, I guess, grace period, whatever you want to call it. So that's the changes to the career development, but that's all out there. Now,
Now should we start from the top and go through? Sorry, we got out of order there.
no, you're good. Did you jump in or you want to roll or?
Yeah, no, go right ahead.
Okay.
Chief.
Union 1 is it's the city counter. So this is the deferred compensation cleanup. So basically this is what we had proposed back to you guys for 401k. It just removes the 1% match and just pays out the 401k or pays out the 6.2 to the person chose. Talked about Union 2 already. Union 4, this is the one we just TA'd, right? So this is the deployment one. I think we TA'd, that's correct. Union 5 is your,
Union 3.
Union 3 is already TA'd.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yep. Union 5 is your callback proposal. So it just changes it to overtime rates. Union 6 is replaced with City 15, which is the AEMT proposal. Or AEMT slash, it's more than AEMT, right? I'll say it's an EMS proposal, right? So it paramedics, AEMTs, but it's that city proposal 15. So that's out there.
For Union
We've talked
10.
through 10. City 11 is,
That's the.
or sorry, Union 11, sorry. Union 11 is the sick leave MOU. So this is what we had produced to you guys. It includes basically increasing the annual sweeps from 35 to 50 in an MOU format so that we can come back and discuss as we see behavior changes or different things like that. So that's kind of the intention there. Anything else? I think we already talked through that one. So it's basically, it's the same language that we had previously in MOU format. Union 15, we talked through this one. This one's the parental leave. Go City 3.
Those were the vacation leave that you wanted to think.
We
more
talked
of,
through
right?
that one. 7, we talked through. City 8, we talked through. City 9. City 9 is the longevity pay one. So that's the exact same language from 6.3. So cap at 25. City 11. Oh, that's when we TA'd that one this morning. City 12 is
Shift.
the consecutive hours. City 13 is the staffing discussions. City 14, we talked about that. That's the framework for physical fitness. We still need some work there. 15, we talked about. 16, we talked about. 17, we talked about. So that's the entire. So it includes some of the sick leave stuff, some of the deferred comp stuff, some of that. We miss anything?
I think just our discussion that we would pull back in the city counter on authorized strength.
Yeah.
That was.
Yep.
Misunderstanding, clerical error, so we would pull
Yeah, sure.
that back up.
So question number one that I have that I'm hoping we can get a pretty quick answer is costing for the total package.
Mhm.
I would assume that it was absolutely cost out. Can we get a new costing of what you're presenting?
Yeah, I don't think so. Don't have it right here.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll have to. We'll return with that.
So we'll go back and kind of work through, look at this, run numbers. Something that's coming out immediately that's extremely frustrating is we came into this process and had a conversation about goals and kind of about a direction that we would like to go. And those goals were really focused on not cutting each other out at the knees and trying to figure out if this is what the union says the union needs or the union wants, how do we figure out a way to figure out what the city needs and the city wants and try to make those things happen and not just cut us out at the knees on every proposal. We were cut out at the knees on every proposal that had any kind of compensation to it.
Well,
And-
that was not the intent.
Sure, that's
That's
fine.
not the intent. If that was how it was received, that was.
Well, I mean, it's how it is. The career development was cut way down. The step raise was taken from a percentage to a 3% for 20 years. That's a problem, right? That's a 20-year problem we're trying to correct. And there was not any realistic attempt at trying to correct a 20-year problem to give us a 3% flat raise on that. And then the wages part is very frustrating. I mean, number one, to come out with a 3% one-time base and 1%, 1%, 1%. I'd like to talk about real quick what we're doing with the rest of the city. Where are wages at with the rest of the city through the next 4 to 5 years? And I can tell you where city council is in the next 4 to 5 years, and they're not flat rates. They're not one-time payouts. They're 9% for the first year. They're 4% for the next year. They're 3% for years 3 and 4. To come at the employees of the fire department with 1% seems just so disingenuous when that is a base for elected officials at the city. And then when we look at what the general employees have been and what the general employees were offered, which was at 2.7%, that's not a one-time.
I
That's-
think when we come back with the costing, we'll be able to talk through the total value of the package
Mhm.
and talk about how that corresponds.
There was a different
So-
offset component to base
Yeah.
in terms of the total cost of the package.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are significant investments in career ladder and some of your other economic proposals. And I think that's very much worth discussion because again, the intent is not cutting off at the knees. Like we're still looking to make a base investment
Mhm.
in this fire contract. And it's those dollars add up.
Sure.
And so that is what we are trying to balance. So I think returning with some costing may help us out.
Yeah.
Because I can sense your frustration
Yeah.
and I want to assure you that the intent is not cutting you out, taking you out at the
Yeah.
knees, not at
Yeah.
all. Like what we are trying to do is look at the financial investments, look at the constraints and then balance between base wage
Yeah.
and the other economic investments, like how do we get there within the cities? What we have budgeted and planned. So I think if we talk back through that, we can share how that looks in totality. Because I want to assure you that's not the intent.
But I'd assume those same things were taken into consideration with the rest of the city council, when those discussions were made about what makes sense to continue to move wages forward for those employees, what makes sense for the general employees. I'm sure those same conversations happened. And to, again, come back with a 1% increase in years 2, 3, and 4, and a one-time payout is very, very difficult for us to consider and to even look at. I mean, it just doesn't feel like that's a reasonable place to be. The proposals that we proposed when they get cut down and you look at the career development, again, that career development should be shared. It should be a shared cost. It's a mutual benefit to both the city and to employees. And it feels like we're taking 100% of the brunt of that. I would be really curious to see, just take everything off the table and where would a wage package be?
We can talk about that.
For career development, is there any way we can get like actual WOC hours and like current people who are taking advantage of the career ladder? That possibility, like the people who are currently getting step raises, the number of employees or how many hours WOC were working, because I do get concerned. Like I know a lot of members are going to lose out from WOC hours. They'll actually make less with the current, like this proposed career development.
I think it's gonna be a case by case though.
Totally, but that way I have an idea of like what does that look like.
I think we do have them. So yes is the simple answer. I guess it just depends. Let me look here real quick because I think we have them in our dashboard.
I know last negotiations, we had a figure of $500,000 for the end year that we're coming in on for total WC and step raise costs currently. So that one alone could be great. But yeah, especially if we're looking at WC dollars, that could be important, since when we talk about the 3%, again, that's wrapping an existing benefit. We're not asking for more benefit into the program as an appendix for a transparency of contract. And transparency, we can see where it's good because it's been a confusing subject here. So now that we're taking existing benefit, we're just memorializing an appendix. The WC would be different, where yes, if you WC, when you sit in that seat, you're already compensated for that. What we're asking for is to say, what's the percentage conversion to that one? So a change in benefit, but a benefit that's already existing.
Yeah, the hard part is by the way we built the structure, in Geo, is that everybody gets WOC all the time.
Mhm.
So there's winners and losers.
Sure.
So even with that savings, right, when we priced it out, or when finance priced it out, they included removing kind of the existing WOC budget and the existing career ladder budget and added that back in. And there's still, I think our proposal is what, $300,000 extra costs, and your proposal was $500,000 or $600,000 of extra costs. So that's on top of taking out those other two already.
Okay.
So, but you're 100% accurate in the sense that the people who are working 1,600 hours or working out of class are not going to make that up, even with a 3 or a 4%.
Even that, like this current proposal, firefighter class 3 is making essentially the same they're making right
Yep.
now. So they're getting a net loss right off the bat.
Yep.
That's a large.
They're getting a small little,
Yeah,
but in essence, it's existing in what they have now. You're accurate in that sense, right? The concept is that once again, trying to look from an HR standpoint, how do we create that stagger if we're building out a whole program? Moving from firefighter 1 to firefighter 2 to firefighter 3 has a significant increase today, right?
There's also a significant savings that we're having by having a larger group that we're able to share that WC across, which also means staffing is much easier, which also means you're not having lots of productivity and people shooting back and forth between stations. And those are the part of the costing that become a little frustrating when we see these really high costs to a program that is mutually beneficial, but yet we're taking on the full brunt costing of it. And so I feel like the costing of career development is so far out of the realm of where we think it is and when we're taking it on that it doesn't make sense for us to look at. That's frustrating because we worked on it so long and so hard, but there needs to be some movement from the city to go, there is value in this, and we need to try to accurately cost it so that we understand that we're going to take on some of that as well because of the benefit that we see in it in all of the things that I have talked about already.
Sure. I mean, I understand what you're saying. We want to get it across the finish line too.
Yeah.
There's disparity we're trying to figure out when we do cost those career developments, and we're saying, we know on these WCs, people are going to lose under this percentage, and we're memorializing existing into. So how does that I mean, it's not specialty teams, because if I look at a 20-year leader in the specialty teams, it's going to be a captain. His 2-week pay difference is $1.38 after 2 years. Like, yikes. 5-year, once you get that first bump, you're.
But I'm talking about specialty team pay.
Okay. So I'm looking at the two big asks that we've came in with.
You guys
I think
did
at a road
back a flat rate increase.
We were clear that.
So we were trying to
maintaining
make
at least
movement on it.
Yeah.
We understand that's probably not where we're gonna wind up, but it's
Yes.
trying to move back to the flat rate increase.
And we understand that, but there has to be there's a give and take in negotiations, right? We come in with fact finding and you go, well, we're not interested. Well, okay, but that's the same thing. Are you able to say you're not interested and we just back off? And then the same thing goes for us. We have to negotiations is about coming together and figuring out what's going to work for both of us and trying to, again, not cut each other out of the knees and figure out a way to take some things that we're interested in, some things that you're interested in, and try to figure out how to make both of those things happen. Where from our perspective, we're looking at some of these going, we're going to lose a little bit on some of these, but we're going to win over here. So when it comes across that it's full nose to everything that we're trying to do, and then wage packages that come across so small, it feels disingenuous to me.
Yeah, it's just hard because it factors in everything, right?
And I
Sure.
think with the wage package, one thing I think is important to understand is pay components. So when you look at your structure and your pay components, you have comparatively, we have an 1/8 in general employee of pay components that you do. There's a great deal more complexity that goes into, you change base wage incrementally and it offsets every other pay component you have. And there's a compounding factor to it. Doesn't exist in council. Their pay components are very simple. So a 9% to them is not at all apples to apples when you're talking about should you receive 9%. With general employees, for example, you talked about the 2.6 that was provided to general employees in 2026. In order for us to give them the base wage that they want, we had to offset that. And we took away performance pay because we couldn't offer them the level of base pay that they wanted. So I think you have to be really mindful of when you're talking about pay structures, you have to be really cautious about comparing, well, council gets this and general employees get this and police get this, because the structures are entirely different. And as you look at the costing, and Christine and Romeo have said this, so I'm just reiterating it. It's not that we want to come in here and not offer a competitive base wage. We want to be competitive. It's the entirety of, you've got this base wage, it's going to compound here, it's going to compound here, it's going to compound here, it's going to compound here. And we're going to end up with this level of growth over a period of time. So I think the costing could help at least get us started on the conversation of how did we land here or how did we start here? And then maybe move to what you're saying, Jason, is to a better middle ground of like, okay, so what is most important here? And how do we give a little bit and take a little bit so we get to where we all need to be? Because this is complex. It truly is. I mean, it's been such a learning for me to learn about the pay structure. So I think the costing could be very helpful here.
And we do need to address the like apples to apples and our comparison to employees, general employees in the city or the city council. The work we do is completely different.
Absolutely.
And so our contract has been built over time that is, and has said is value in the things that are in our contract. There's a value to the community and us being able to respond on a river rescue. There is value to the city when somebody's up hiking in the foothills and they have an emergency for us to be able to respond there quickly. Those are things that the city has said, these are important to us as well. We want our fire department to be able to do these things. That puts the burden on the employees of the fire department to then be able to increase their knowledge, to increase their ability to help in those specific situations, which is why we create specialty team pays, which is why our structure looks so different than other employees in the.
And I'm not disputing that it's a good structure.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not disputing it's a good structure.
Mhm.
I'm just saying when you're comparing pay structures, you have to be cautious with that
Yeah.
because there are so many nuances to my pay components versus your pay components. And so, and certainly I think there's not a single aspect of the work that you do that I would dispute. This is meaningful in how we pay this. This is meaningful in how we reward this. And please don't misunderstand.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's easy to just look at it from a historical perspective. If we go back 20 years, and we reflect on the economy and growth in the city, and we look at the wage package that was presented, which equates to a 3% over 4 years with one-time money. That has not happened. That's not realistic. We have never been in a position with an economy the way it is now and growth the way it is now that we have seen an offer that is a 3% offer over 4 years. Again, that's where I'm coming at this from, saying this feels extremely disingenuous to come in here and offer 3% over 4 years in an economy that is working and in a growth spurt that Boise is currently in and going to continue to be in. That's what we hear. So
I think it's, yeah, I understand your response, and I think we can come back with costing and talk about how we got here, how that relates to, as we acknowledge, the last contract was pretty unprecedented, really trying to address some of those inflationary pressures, how the city is in now a maintaining programs and services mode, and how truly some substantial economic investments in some of these other proposals, and how we weigh that against base wage. This is an opening package. You introduced an opening package yesterday. Today, we introduced an opening package. I think there's definitely room to come together. There's room to talk about priorities. We can shift things here and there. We thought we owed you all, and what we presented back was in the context of an overall city budget, what we have to work with, and we may have weighted it incorrectly. And this is intended, again, this is an opening package intended to generate good conversation, help us with prioritization. And I'm confident we will move together. And I do think coming back with costing will help us kind of talk through that and then may show where we're like, oh, we're off on this. The priority is actually there. How do we start to adjust it? So I still think there's lots of good conversation to be had. And again, please, the intent was not to be inflammatory or not to be disrespectful. We're just trying to, we've got a spreadsheet. We're trying to rack and stack and add up numbers. We tried to gather from you yesterday by your package, what your priorities were, and then tried to bring it together with base wage. So very, very, very open to continuing discussion.
So timeframe for today, move forward. It's 11:30 now. What kind of time frame do you need to come back with costing?
I think it could be fairly quick.
I think it could be.
Let me ask.
Is it too early to break for lunch?
Yeah, I don't want to, here's my overall perspective of the day. I don't want to break for lunch, come back for a costing, and then us have to go back and really run some numbers. We're really far apart. And I don't know, I've never seen a city come at this from this perspective.
I don't think the city's been in this financial situation.
Well, they're not, I mean, they're not. What did we take? We took 2.7%. We had the ability to take a 3% property tax increase. If we were in a financial constraint, the city would have taken a 3% increase. There's no question. The city chose to take a 2.7% increase to property taxes. That's a choice the city made because the city has the ability to fund programs. If the city was in a financial budgetary constraint, things would have looked different. I don't, this is a choice, it's a perspective. But again, we're looking at 20 years. I've been here in this valley for over 20 years, been negotiating contracts. I was here in the economic downturn in 2008 negotiating contracts. I've never seen something like this come out in the economy that we have right now and in the city's budget that we have right now. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me that that's kind of where we ended up with as a proposal. So for the costing, we would just like to see where it ended up with costing so that we have an idea. We would probably be interested
Go to
in.
caucus, get costing, and then we'll just, next time we meet up, we'll come back with the counter. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I would be good with that. I just don't.
Should we take a 15?
If we take like,
Yes.
take like 15,
Yeah.
see how long
let's
it'll take us, because I don't think it's gonna take Justin very long.
Make sure we
I
have
just,
costing needs laid out.
Yeah,
I think-
if there's any additional that you would like, Cam, I would like costing on the package itself as far as a kind of a dollar figure. I'd really like to see costing on where the city, we've seen a couple different figures. In the early presentation, we saw this figure of a $5 million kind of line that was available funding for fire. But it was really interesting because that $5 million line never grew with increases in property tax revenue. It
I
was
think that's the
That's
5 million, that's
for
the
the
entire
entire
city.
city.
That's the entire.
the entire city.
sure, but same, whoever it's for it, there was never any growth. So there was this discussion on the impacts to the $5 million that continually got eaten up. There was another discussion about a $3 to $8 million that was available for property taxes. We'd really like to see where that's coming from. Where are we getting a $3 to $8 million availability for programs out of property?
I think it's
tax?
one and the same, what you're talking about.
Well, and they may be, that's the correlation I was kind of getting to is this $3 to $8 million looked very similar to the $5 million across the
I
board.
think it's
It's
the average
It's
between
Sure.
3 and 8, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
and that's what I was assuming it was, but again, there was no growth to it. Which is not realistic. I mean, we know there's growth. The budget is compounding as that growth comes in. So
But so are the expenses.
sure, but that's what I
Right,
meant,
like that.
right? So when we say that we're asking for something and then the discussion comes up, well, they're compounding, there's growth, and that's why we can't do it. Well, we're not accounting for the compounding and growth on the other end as well. And that compounding and growth on the other end of property taxes and an increase to a now increased budget year after year also helps to account for and make up for the adjustments of the growth in our proposals year after year. And that was never presented. It was presented as a flat, non-moving kind of target, if you will. So I would like some costing on that. Cam, do you have anything else?
We also talked about what if we cleared the boards and went for just wages or the base wage increase, if there's no other proposals on the table, just to get an idea of
Yeah.
understanding on this, the alternative look. And then one was for the specialty teams, or excuse me, the career development. The amount of WC from, say, 2025, just because we have actuals on there that we could kind of compare to separate out step and WC.
So let me just understand, because what you asked for was hours per person.
Not per person, just total WC hours.
Okay.
I don't think.
We have
I don't-
dollars. I can give you dollars pretty easy.
Yeah, let's do
Um,
that.
I can give you like the last 3 years of actual dollars spent WOC. It won't be the,
Do it by category, like to captain versus to driver, versus battalion chief.
let me see what I got.
I know that might be a big ask.
WC dollars would be good. Oh, the one that would helpful too, because when we're trying to calculate winners and losers on that side is the shift differential, or not shift differential. So the differential, if you're firefighter 3 and you swing up to drive, if you're firefighter 4 and you swing up to captain, if you are a senior firefighter and you swing up to captain, you are even captain to BC.
And that's the hour, kind of that hour.
Yeah, that hourly differential. So it's like, hey.
Probably aren't gonna get that.
What's that?
Probably aren't gonna be able to get that like immediately. but-
Okay.
Yeah, is that, yeah, I don't know, Jen has.
It should be a payroll
It's a-
code, or
Yeah, anytime someone,
Yeah, I think I just gotta reach out to Jen Day to get all that
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
And we did it last time. I mean, it's not, I'm assuming you're asking for the same basic information we did in the last negotiation. So we did this. We had this exact discussion.
Yeah.
And I think she produced the percentage, or not percentage, but the hourly rate differential between X and X and Y and Y.
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. If you- When you pop in that seat, what are you getting paid per hour? And you swing up to where that happens.
Yeah. I think the hard part, it gets back to the same discussion we had in our last negotiations, is there's winners and losers. And maybe winners and losers is the wrong term. It's everybody's probably a winner, but there's a lot bigger winners. So, but yeah, somebody who works 1,600 hours of working out of class, which I think when I looked last time, I think that was like our high.
sure, yeah. There's a few people, and it's
Yeah.
usually medical issues that they're swinging up in a station because.
100%. It's long-term out for pick the reason.
Right.
And they just are moving up from firefighter to driver and driving for 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Feels like a good perspective. Pat.
So- are you guys on the city system right now? When you log into your city account, if you can check this and just text me afterwards, log into your city account, go to fire, and then go to the Power BI dashboards. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And in the Power BI dashboards, one of the dashboards that's available, it should be to all employees, is the Telestaff dashboard. And as part of that Telestaff dashboard, one of the pages is constant staffing. And it may give you what you need or are asking for constant staffing. It's not going to be the actual dollars and cents, but it is the hours, things like that. And then there's, sorry, not constant staffing, WOC. There's a WOC. I'm saying WOC, I was looking at constant staffing. And it includes like the breakdown of hours. So like the leader in constant or working out of class hours right now is at 1,797 hours.
That was on the fire homepage.
Fire homepage, Power BI dashboards over on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
And then it should say all employees and scroll down towards the bottom of that.
Tell us that.
Total staff dashboard, click on that. And then click on WOC. If that's what you're looking for, because that breaks it down by total WC hours by position, average WC hours per position. It includes a WC by employee. Are you in there?
Just took a while to load up.
Sweet. So check that in Caucus and see if that checks your box. I'll work with Jen to get this isn't gonna have payroll data necessarily.
Yeah.
But this will help you with the hours, and it'll certainly, when you're looking at those hours, for like the top person working 1,800 hours WC.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, right. And we're aware of that, and that's, conversations. I think we just have to have those
yeah,
individuals that's an anomaly. That's not reality. And part of the greater good is to get this program across the finish line that evens things out.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, on the average, like when you look at W, it's like 500 hours for a senior fighter. So it's a little bit less, but it's still
Also differential.
Does that start to give you what you want, Ryan?
What's that?
Does that start to give you what you want?
A little bit, yeah, but still.
More hours, but not dollar differential. Is that?
Yeah, if we had the dollar differential, then we.
I can give
The
you,
dollars are the easier part. The by person hours is probably harder.
yeah, I can at least,
Should be-
what we
I
can
can't
start to
push
look
that.
at is like that, or what you guys could look at is like that first person, hey, he's a firefighter and swinging to driver.
Mhm.
We know the hourly differential for a driver to.
Yeah.
Or or firefighter 3 to driver is $3. Then you can calculate out, hey, that's $6,000 a year.
Yeah. Well, in the costing, if you're able to, when you come back, it would be nice to see what you guys use for a calculation of WOC coming back. If it was just the total budget that you.
I think he just took out, I think he just took out the budget that and we can verify with Justin, but my understanding is we took the WOC budget that we have, the total budget that we have for career ladder now.
Mhm.
So those are negatives, if you will. And then we costed out this new proposal. We took those people, and that's something that we should talk about at some point in time too. That's worthy of this is, we talked about it before, is I just went through a shift list, if you will, and plugged people into proposed positions. So I still think we really need to probably, as we're working through this at some point in time, I don't want to bog it down right now, but we need to have at least a alignment on,
Mhm.
oh, I put you in a captain 1 and you think that person should really be a captain 2, or
Mhm.
Cam's a senior firefighter 1 and I put him as a senior firefighter 3. So we still need alignment on that because
Mhm.
that's the basis for all of our calculations. But in essence, what he did was he just ran it and said, okay, great. Here's the people as they are right now. If they're a senior firefighter 2 today, that's what they got plugged in as. In 12 months, they're going to go to a senior firefighter 3.
Mhm.
And that's the logic. And then
Sure.
the cost is X year over year, and then subtract out the WOC budget and subtract out the career ladder budget so that you can see what the net increase to total cost is.
Yeah.
So, and we can verify that with Justin, but that's my understanding of how.
And the WOC budget, can you verify if it's the budgeted amount or if it's the actual spend?
I can verify it. I believe it is the budgeted amount. And then from that standpoint, since we're in there looking around, yeah, I'll just get to the, so for WOC, you want the spends for the last 3 years, something like that?
The actual.
Actual spends for the last 3 years, does that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you can also compare that with the budget that you, Justin, used, that'd be helpful to see where that was.
So city forecast, we'll revisit the package costing. the working out of class actuals. Did I miss anything?
I think that's it.
Okay,
Might need more than 15 minutes if we're gonna try to pull all that, but I would say let's try to at least get back on the proposal costs and then maybe some of these others we
Yeah.
can pick off.
Yeah.
As sidebar and
Yeah.
deliver to you via
Yeah, the
email.
proposal cost and that forecasted kind of budget
Yep.
availability. Could we shoot for noon to reconvene? Or
I think
12?
that's
Yeah,
realistic.
Okay.
Yeah. Back at noon.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Welcome. Here are your copies of TA. And then we'll scan them into them.
Yeah.
All right. So we are, and we would love to walk you through the costing on the package as we spoke before. But before we get into that, I just want to kind of reset as a team, take a breath, and really assure you, we are here to negotiate in good faith.
Mhm.
It did not feel like you felt like that as we walked out of the
Yeah,
room,
yeah.
but we took a cool down moment. And I really, I said before, it was not our intent to make you feel like we were not at this table in good faith or that we cut you off at any means. It was both not our intent. And as we walk through this package costing, I think we're going to show you how, in fact, that is not what we did
Mhm.
when you see the value of this package. I think we've tried to be clear several times on where we are as a city. We have showed you forecasts when we first started. We again kind of prefaced this, tried to put that into context yesterday afternoon. And I want to say again, if this were up to us, we'd give you a 10%, right? Like this is not us devaluing or us saying that what you do doesn't matter to the community, isn't of value to the community. That is not at all where we are coming from. And I just want to make that really, really clear. I think we have made a lot of progress in this past month of being at this table. We have had a ton of collaboration. We have, although many of these proposals are called city, it's simply because you proposed something, we've worked through a bunch of stuff, and then we've come back with something that incorporated that
Mhm.
collaboration. So I really don't think that we are as far off as it may have felt like 15, 20 minutes ago, as we were talking through that. And in fact, I would say we have worked really, really hard to try to suss out your priorities. We entertained and have had good discussions about every proposal that you brought to the table. We did not dismiss those outright. And I really do believe we've captured a lot of shared understanding to be able to produce these proposals and to put this together as a package. Clearly, this is a negotiation. I have confidence that what you put on the table as your first package is not what you thought we were going to sign off on yesterday. We didn't. And what we brought forward to you this morning is, I'm sure, not where we're going to land on this, right? Like you got to make a first volley. And again, we feel like our first package is a first package, have no expectations that you're signing off on it. And again, in good faith, doing our best work, tried to suss out what your priorities are. We could be way off.
Mhm.
It could be after we have this discussion, you all are like, you know what, cool. Our first priority is base wage. Let's talk about that,
Mhm.
right? Like this is, I still feel like although we're midway through, I would say, like we're still trying to suss out where those priorities are. And I just want to make it really, really clear that what we are bringing is not both intended nor in reality a farce or some sort of a game or a devaluing or an undercutting. So I just wanted to make that really clear before we launch into that.
Okay.
All right. I hope by now Justin has had the opportunity to drop a slide in, a costing slide. And let's go. Do we have an information folder? Maybe he put it in the package.
It's in the information.
In the information.
In the information. Thank you. Should have clarified that before stepping out of the room.
Folders.
Where are you guys?
It's
Where do
the
you see-
information if you go out.
Or the,
Oh, all the way out. Okay,
Yeah.
not in today,
Yeah.
but in the master info. Okay, got it. Sorry, I went back into today.
it is today.
Is it today?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. Oh,
Oh, it's,
go to today's date.
Yeah.
So there was a,
What's
there's
it?
an information.
Package.
Oh, yeah.
Go back.
Yeah, I thought I had an information folder
Jeez.
on today.
No, go back out.
Go back.
How did I find it? Go
Yeah,
to-
mine is today.
Yeah, 7-2.
What in the heck? Okay, let me see where I'm at.
yeah, there it is. Okay, phew.
Yeah, I'm
I
out.
was like, it's not there, right? You're not
there.
I'm like, I know.
Yeah, I'm in 7-2. Going to 7-2 and then
Refresh.
information.
Okay, there we got it.
Just go with it.
Just go with it. Okay.
Sorry, I don't know what's wrong.
So all of the same caveats that we applied yesterday when we came in with your package costing apply here.
Mhm.
So this is a blend of really good Questica modeling based on some of the economic proposals, but then with back of the envelope calculation on how base wage factors into it.
Mhm.
Stacy said it before we left, but I want to reiterate it. The complicated nature of the fire contract and how what sounds like a simple base wage increase flows through the system and compounds and multiplies is not easily captured in a back of the envelope calculation. So these, again, all the same caveats as to the costing of the package you all presented as your opening package. So let's start at the top and walk through it. So as we talked about before, making the change to the career development ladder represents a very substantial investment. Do not argue that we see shared benefit and shared value in that. That's why I think we both came to the table saying this was a high priority for us. But as you can see, as modeled out, and again, this is the assuming no base wage increase. In year one, that's about $223,000 of additional investment and money flowing into our members' pockets. In year two, that would be just shy of $1 million. Year three, that would be about $1.16 million. And in year four, it would be $1.19 million. So that's just the career development aspect on its own. We've talked quite a bit about the AEMT, really the EMS system proposal that allows us to invest some paramedic funding back into developing out our AEMT. We costed that as we did yesterday with yours at about $74,000 a year. The city physicals, this is really a swag. We don't know exactly because we had originally proposed a very robust annual. This is now very, very scaled back. We are putting a placeholder, and this is simply a placeholder of 100,000. As we talked about, longevity represents a savings for reinvestment. The vacation sell down represents a saving for reinvestment. So we've noted those as savings. The sick leave, again, we were talking about this as a pilot, potentially an MOU. That is our estimated cost to the city of 30,000. We included the special team flat rate at 15,000. Your on-call standby of about 120,000. And then we'll move into wages. So the one-time restructuring bonus, again, meant to ease the transition from where we are today into that dramatically new structure. We put this at 3% as a one-time bonus. Really, if we look to the career development, the big investment in career development doesn't really hit until the later years. So we wanted to front load folks with that 3% one time to try to ease that transition until more of the money starts flowing into that package in out years. And then we modeled a 1% and showing how that would compound over the years. So for this package, that puts us at a year one investment of 1.75 million, a year two investment of about 1.7 million, a year three investment of about 2.4 million, and a year four investment of about 3 million. So again, I wanted to come back and talk about it in the context of the package. This is again, not at all intended to be insulting or devaluing. We really are trying to make investments in every single year. We think the career development has a huge shared benefit, and that is where a lot of the cost is in this.
Christine, one
Sorry.
small oversight, it's the paternity leave costs are not in there.
Oh, shoot. We left out parental leave. Oops,
Those are easy. We know what those are.
about 200,000
Yeah,
in parental.
sorry.
I'm so sorry. Shoot.
192K
Yeah.
per year.
That's correct.
Mhm.
Should have taken 5 more minutes and we would have gotten it right.
Sorry.
Okay, Justin's updating. So add 200,000 in any
Yeah.
given year. But again, really, hopefully the numbers help demonstrate we're not at all looking to not invest. I think we're still very much in a discussion. We feel like this was a strong opening package. There's demonstrated investment in all of these years. And I think we're close on some of these economic packages. It really is in the bringing it together and how to weight and value those that we're interested in having more conversation.
Yeah. So again, we would definitely love to see, and we were hoping to get a little more, maybe you have some on the like forecasting. How much money does the city think is available in 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030?
We can go back to the slides we presented yesterday and talk through them again, if that's helpful. We're very happy to go back and talk through those again.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk through those slides and let's do it in glitching all over his
I
slide.
think Justin's trying to update with the parental leave.
Got it.
He's updating in real time. There it is.
So a couple things before we go over and try to go over the forecasting and the money available for this. Number one is the career development. Just starting at the top. The cost for career development, again, that's a cost that it feels like we are taking on 100% of the burden. That's the total cost of career development, but it's being paid for by us without any of the city going, there's a big benefit to us. Let's make an adjustment on the costing of this and be willing to share some of the cost because there is value coming back to us as the city versus right now it's showing the same cost that's been out there, which is putting 100% of it on firefighters.
But that money is flowing to firefighters, to be
I think we
clear.
also-
But this is a total liability potential also.
Yeah.
And so we can't cost something out at $1.2 million and say that money is going to firefighters. The reality is there's a good chance that money does not make it to firefighters and it stays either within the budget or it gets moved somewhere else because this is done on a worst case scenario type of situation. So it's overcosted based on a worst case scenario. So the reality of taking that total cost and saying, we're going to take that out of your total package doesn't seem reasonable to us at all. And then secondly, again, if there is a shared benefit, we don't feel like we should be taking 100% of the burden of that cost because of the kind of intangible value to the city.
I hear you, but the money is allocated. So
Yeah.
it's not like we can't, it might be worst case scenario. It might be your best day that everybody goes through the progression and everybody receives that, the benefit of the career ladder. But we have to account for that in the budget. It's allocated. That money can't be used for anything else.
It
So,
is allocated.
so what I would propose, if that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna allocate this much money, is we just do away with the whole step raise program, the whole career development program, and we just put those steps in that just say year 1, year 2, year 3. Then 100% of that money is allocated to our firefighters. There is no, well, some firefighters aren't gonna do this career ladder. Some firefighters are gonna do it on a 5-year timeline. If we are saying, and our goal is that 100% of this money goes to firefighters, then let's build it to where 100% of that money goes to firefighters, and it's just based on,
It's just
the criteria.
longevity. It's just longevity
Sure.
then?
it's just a career step.
We don't want that, but I'm just saying, I think that's the point she was trying to make, is that that would actually make it so that money does go to firefighters. 'Cause I think we have a whole holistic difference in the view of how the career development is going to be implemented. Now it's going to play out cost wise.
We're just saying if the goal of this costing is because the city sees this is how much this program is gonna cost, then let's just apply that amount of money 100% to the program. To where at year 1, every firefighter that is in that rank goes to year 2. And that would then apply 100% of that money.
I would rather just give you a base wage.
I know,
I know,
that's my
totally,
point.
totally. I
That's our
don't think
point.
we actually want that. That was just hypothetical.
That's kind of our point, is the mutual benefit here is if this.
There's still cost to it though.
Totally, we understand that.
Absolutely.
We totally
I
understand.
think what
cost,
she's
but
trying to say
again,
too is, yeah. You guys are being fiscally conservative with it, but the problem is all of that risk is just being transferred to the firefighters now.
I would say it's the other way. Cause if everybody gets it all done in a year,
But then you've already got allocated for that.
Right.
That's not what's gonna
in
happen.
years 3 and 4.
Yeah, but that's not what's gonna happen. That not every single firefighter is gonna take advantage of that. Not all our firefighters take advantage of the current step raise.
I think it's gonna be a different program though, right?
It'll be a different program.
And
It
I
might be
think-
more, but I still don't think it's gonna be close to 100%.
Yeah.
I think
again, our perspective is just, if we're saying this is the cost,
Mhm.
then let's figure out how to apply 100% of that cost to firefighters. That's the cost that the city is using. Let's figure out what it looks like to apply 100% of that cost to firefighters. Or we adjust the costing.
So what would you, out of curiosity, how would you discount it? How would you realistically discount it? Because the reality is, we don't know what's going to incentivize somebody. You don't, psychology, you don't know.
Yeah, that's.
And next year, people could go, hell, this is a really good deal. I'm going to go. So what methodology do you use to discount this?
Again, if we're using this costing, we're just saying apply it. Or we have to take some different assumptions within the program to be able to adjust the costing.
What
And
would
our-
those be?
Our assumptions would be it's not a 1-for-1. We would have to look at the program that's currently being used right now, because this is very similar as far as it's additional education, additional classes that would be applied. So I would like to really look at a long-term base of what has our average been as far as how many firefighters are actually utilizing the program, and then what is the length of time that it takes them to be able to get into this program. If we have some other assumptions built in, I think that cost really comes down, because we're not saying every firefighter is doing it in year 1, then year 2, every firefighter is doing it, then year 3, every firefighter is doing it. And that's our reality that we live now, is not every firefighter is participating in the step raise program. So I just see those are 2 options.
Okay.
To go all the way this way or try to get further this way in a more realistic costing. The so AEMT and paramedics, just going down the line, we have costing $74,000. And again, that's a $74,000. It's every year, and that's applied to the additional cost of advanced EMTs.
The existing AMT.
But at some point, we're going to have people promote and a savings comes in to that. Right? So the costing of $74,000 a year also does not seem like an accurate reflection. I would agree that first year, if we are doing the grandfathering, nobody moves and gets promoted, then there's a cost to advanced EMTs.
Yep.
As people then promote from captain to BC, that creates a 5% savings because the next person now can't move. So that's
74.5% savings.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah, for captain to BC.
right. So that means that $74,000 actually should be a reduction over time to a zero.
I would agree with you if we weren't going to add additional AEMTs or paramedics into the program with that savings. So the intention is that our numbers of EMS providers is going to increase to offset any savings. So if we had that happen, and once again, I'm using super round numbers, so they're not 100% accurate. But let's just say that a captain promoted to BC who was a paramedic.
Yep.
They said, hey, I would like to maintain my AEMT. And we said, yes, we're going to add you as an AEMT on our program. Their pay is going to drop from a 10% to a 2.5%.
Yep.
And they're going to function as an AEMT, not a paramedic.
Right.
That creates a 7.5% savings. We then can say, hey, look, we want to add 3 AEMTs to the program at 2.5% each. So we ate up all that 7.5% savings. Because we added 3 more program AEMTs into the system.
Sure. Okay.
So that's the intention.
Yeah. So at some point, we either have to, so what we're doing in this graph is we're saying, well, at some point, once we get to where there is no longer a need for additional advanced EMTs and we're not covering that, then it starts to diminish down to a zero.
That could happen.
It may be a 4 or 5 year plan.
It's probably a 20-year plan, right? I mean, because we're not, I mean, what do we decide? 17 captains or 15 plus the 2?
17 plus 2.
Right? So that's really where our, at least today's savings is, because as we go forward in the future, we wouldn't have, there's no additional savings to gain, right? They just, if they promoted to captain, they wouldn't get that increase, then they'd stay at 5%, right? But yeah, that's the intention, is that I don't know how to figure 20 years from now when everybody's.
What do they call it in a mortgage? How do we amortization?
Yeah.
Over time.
Yeah,
I think that's
someday there potentially could be that number. I think it's a long time off because I don't know what the right answer is for number of paramedics and number of AMTs, but I would love to see the number of AMTs be way higher than it is. And I don't think I think we're going to have to go back to the city and say, hey, mayor and council, I need another 100,000 because I'm out of savings and I still need to add 20 more AMTs and 5 more paramedics or whatever. If we ever get a squad in play or a ALS medical response unit in play.
You had to say it, man. You had to say it.
We're probably going to need to add to our paramedic ranks, right? So I think all those things factor in, and the savings could say, okay, great, we're going to add 2 more paramedics with that savings. The intention is not to reduce the budget amounts. It's to reinvest the savings into the program to continue to expand the program, and then likely go back and ask for a one-time base increase. I guess it's not a one-time, it's a base increase into that account to fund additional AMTs and additional paramedics in the program. So that's the intention for the 74. The 74 gets us up to today. It starts paying our members who are acting as AMTs today and are getting $0 for it.
So it's not a net new 74 every year. It's a 74 that carries
Correct.
forward.
Yeah.
If that.
Moving down to the physicals, your proposal, and it costs us $100,000. That seems very counterintuitive to me. Why are we paying for the city's proposal of physicals?
I think we see this as another like 4-person staffing, career development. Like this seems something that we have long had a shared interest in overall health and wellness. And we see this as being, quite honestly, something that we are doing to care for our members and our employees. And it does have a cost.
Yeah, we're
And it's
paying for it. I mean, we have a healthcare trust, we have the ability to, for our members to maintain health, through our programs. It doesn't make sense that the city wants to have a physical fitness proposal and then say, but you guys are going to pay for it.
Yeah, I think it cuts back to kind of as Stacy and Christina both said, is it's dollars flowing through to fire department functions, right, from the city budget.
Sure. Yes.
So that's why it's included.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, I think.
Okay. Can we just kill it?
Kill the whole proposal.
Yeah.
You can certainly counter with that.
Again,
I mean,
we have already proposed to take it off the table. Why would it make sense for us to say, let's agree to this and we're going to pay for it?
When you guys, in our original package, right, we said some things that wouldn't be included and you guys included them. So I think it's just a standpoint of
Cost to you. There's a big difference of, we didn't say we would.
But I actually will argue with that, Jason. There is a benefit. You do physical assessment,
Uh-huh.
you catch things before they become problems.
Yeah.
And it might not be a lot.
Yeah.
It might be one or two, but those can create or offset comorbidities that are going to cost the trust you millions of dollars.
Yes.
So I do think that there is benefit to the firefighters to say, we catch one or two and we save millions of dollars. I mean, and there is, not right now, because we've been searching for modeling that exists, but there is becoming more and more evidence and statistics around this to be able to prove that that this actually does work. We may not be ready to go down this road, but I would argue there's benefit.
Yeah.
Benefit to all firefighters
Yeah,
for
sure.
this
There
project.
is. We agree with the benefit part. We don't agree that we should be the ones paying for it in a package proposal. Yes, benefit the health trust. We have brought multiple people here for our members specifically and paid for them to get cancer screening, to get cardiac screening.
But if we were to do something like this, correct me if I'm wrong, it has to be in the CLA. Like if we were to say, we want to pay for it, we want to do a physical assessment, we want to go through this process, we have to have it in the CLA.
Sure.
Correct.
Yes.
So at some point, if we want this to work, and it is important to chief, and
Yeah.
important to,
Yeah.
on this side, we have to put it forward to
Yes.
say it's important to us.
Yes.
It has to be paid for somehow.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of the intent. Clearly, this is not favorable right now, but I want to argue the premise of it. That's what.
Yes. And
I come back and I'm hearing, what I'm hearing you say is that you're not, the physicals and the health and wellness is important to you and your members. You're struggling with the cost. of it.
yes, that we're picking up 100% of the cost of that. That's, yes. 100%.
Fair enough.
And then the last thing was the sick leave. You've got the $30,000 cost to it, and we agree, if you look at that model, it's just going to cost the city money, which is why we have presented a different model that we think makes a lot more sense. So we would like to continue to explore what that part looks like, because it doesn't make sense for us to take a sick leave proposal that costs us money in a package that does not do much for either side.
I think on all of these, we are very open to your counters. Again, right? Like
I do think the other thing with the sick leave proposal and the why we proposed the way we did with an MOU
Mhm.
is that I think there's openness, and I've heard it over and over again, is if we see some behavior change and we do start to see savings, we can change.
Right.
That's
I don't-
the MOU.
Yeah, and I think the MOU is actually a great idea. I
Yes.
think the problem is that proposal, like the one you
You
guys.
just don't think it's gonna change.
I think it's just gonna
Correct.
cost the city
It's
money with
just gonna
zero
cost the
behavior.
money.
change.
Yeah. And so it's again, one of those where we go, it doesn't make sense for us to let a program fail.
Mhm.
And it costs us money in letting it fail. The program has to be run to be able to see success. And I think that's where the MOU part of it came in. It's that
Yeah.
makes sense, but so really, I think for me, that was all of kind of the costing estimate questions that we have. And again, I think it's kind of centered in that top section. The other ones, I feel relatively comfortable with where the costing is and understand it. I'm not saying that anybody is wrong by any means with these costing. I think it's a philosophical difference
Yeah, I
that
think
we
so.
have in how it's costed out being, and we understand that career development does have the potential to cost the city this much money. We think that it's different than that. So,
Well, and I think what we're trying to signal with this, it may be the most conservative financial model. I hope all of our members take advantage of this and max this budget out. Like, that's my hope, is that we're seeing growth and progression and people that want to do this. So I think you could look at it one way or the other. It could be a worst case budget scenario. I'm actually like, I think we want to incentivize this behavior. We want to see folks move up. So from my perspective, it's like this actually is our best case scenario because we put a program in that incentivized people continuing their professional development. And to me, like, this is a good day for everybody.
yeah, I think the constraints are my concern.
The concerns.
We have a lot of constraints in this program that will definitely slow down some of the ability for people to take advantage of it based on how many people can we put through an academy, which is part of the process of this. So with constraints, it would be great if everyone could take advantage of it, but I don't think we can even model it to have a full ability for everyone to take advantage of it in the exact amount of time that is there, that is proposed.
What do you guys think's reason?
What do you mean?
What,
For
I
what
mean,
part?
for the purpose, like I said, the assumptions are, like I say, you come in, start with the base wherever I put people,
Yep.
right? Which once again, I still think we need to verify that. And then we said 1 year to move to the next step, 1 year to move to the next step. Is it 2 years to move to the first step?
I think flat out, there's some people who are never gonna do
Yeah.
it. Like,
And
there's some
that's
people who
what-
don't want to.
So is it just a percentage?
I think it's hard.
90% of
Oh, no.
our members are gonna complete it?
I can't tell you. I mean, I don't know
I
what it
think
is.
yes and yes.
Yeah.
I think there's what we need to figure out is a percentage of people, which that's kind of why we have said, can we figure out how many people in the department as a percentage are actually using the step raise program? And are they using half of the step raise program or the full step raise program? And then secondly would be the like average amount of time that it takes for somebody to move through or progress through the step raise program.
I am seeking to understand, Jason, truly, so when you talk about, because I'm actually following your logic here
Yeah.
in terms of not everybody's gonna go through this.
Yeah.
You're probably right. They're not. I mean, you don't get 100% success rate on any incentive.
Right, right.
But when we talk about risk, like, to me, there's a greater risk for the city not to fund it entirely on the off chance that 100% of your members decide.
sure.
Years
Oh,
later.
sure, yeah.
Right.
If we
Yes.
We're like,
don't-
sorry, the money's gone.
If we don't fund it, you've talked about the risk you bear. What is that risk that you bear?
The reduction in our percent for our raises.
So
You're taking that essentially, you're
so
taking
you're
that away
saying
from what you can offer.
I don't get that money and it
Yes.
just sits out
Correct.
there.
Yeah, that's what, I think that's what I was trying to say. When you're transferring that
Okay.
risk to us,
Got
and
it.
you're saying, this is how much it could cost, so we can't pay you this.
So it's,
We have to give you.
so it's
less.
taking more of the pie.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
That's helpful. I was also
I was
not
not
understanding.
following.
Yeah, I was like,
Sorry.
There's
So I-
a lot of, and it's I don't think it's a difficult thing to understand. Our culture is people come in as firefighters. Not all of them want to be drivers right away. A lot of them don't want to be drivers. As a matter of fact, we talk about, is there a way to circumvent that entire rank for them to be able to move over? So there's a big group of people that sit there and go, I'm not going to promote, I'm not going to take advantage of the senior firefighter step raise because I just don't want to drive. I don't want to be in that rank. So we have a large group of people just hang out as firefighters, and some of them are waiting for us to be able to potentially figure out a path to promote to captain. Then you get a bunch of people that promote to driver, and then they go, I don't want the responsibility that comes with being a captain.
I'm happy where
I
I'm
am
at.
happy where I'm at. They take advantage of the 2 step raises they have within their rank, but they're never going to promote and hit those other 2 step raises. So
Okay.
because of that part of the culture,
Got it.
that's why we're going, the costing of this is assuming everybody moves through every program
Yes.
all the way up.
There's another introduced variable with this too, which is right now all you do is finish classes, submit your paperwork, you get a step raise. Now we're tying that third position on senior firefighter and captain to actual performance. And that's where some people might not be able to ever get past. Like our WOC test for captain is very challenging. I know a few people who still haven't finished it and taken it multiple times. So now you're talking, there's some guys that just may never get to that last percentage because they can't pass the test. Whereas before they just had to go attend a class and then hand in paperwork.
This is more a curious question than anything else. What's the biggest disincentive to be a driver? Why don't people want to be?
They just don't want it. They want to be in that back seat. So when we go to a structure fire, they get to hold the nozzle and.
You're not a
There's a hose
firefighter.
Yep, you're a chauffeur. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, New York.
Some people
calls
don't
them
like
chauffeurs. So, I mean, you have a lot of responsibility. Your responsibility shifts. You're responsible to getting people to and from scenes safely. And then once you get to a scene, and if it's a structure fires are what a lot of firefighters just thrive on. They train for that experience. And if you're a driver, you stay outside, you pull levers and move water.
That helps. Thank you.
You're the guy snagging rebounds in basketball versus sinking threes if you're the firefighter.
Mhm.
In there. Yeah.
I get it.
And then one of the other funnel constraints on that too is like right now our ODA, our Officers Development Academy, which is an annual offering, can only allow 20 people at a time. So if you were to go say, boy, how much could this hit us? You could say up 20 a year could go through from the costing on that. And then the Treasure Valley Battalion Chiefs Academy, if it was annual, it's a new thing. So there's items to work out. I don't know what their cap on class and if it's per department or just a cumulative cap on the class. So when we talk about assuming liability, you do have those bottlenecks. And that's to get to where right now, here's my papers, here's my step raises versus you got to go through task book in a 3-week officer development academy to get approval for that. And there's items even in your task book, that you still have to complete that aren't offered. For example, I've got my Officers Development Academy. I don't qualify because I have a task book, which classes I can't hit until next year because they're not offered.
Mhm.
So even though I could start on my task book, those classes have to be offered annually, but I'm relying on outside classes that the department doesn't really have control on. So it doesn't necessarily mean a year I get it. So it's a little false narrative. I could get it in a year too. So timing has to be right. So if I'm unable to attend one of those classes, tough cookies, I got to wait for another year. Bummer. So I'm not eligible for that if this was in place. And then WOC, say if everybody went to WOC, which is not the case, but say if everybody went to WOC, you still have to pass. And that's not always an easy task to do. So there are some other just funnel constraints on the production line.
And that's predominantly tied to senior firefighter, though, right?
Yeah.
Built in now alternative paths for captain,
Mhm.
right? That would allow them not to WOC.
True. Yeah. If that language, yes.
And so in firefighter 1, 2, 3, we already have it built in. I think we probably, maybe I guess the best analogy I could liken it to, and granted, it's a little bit different in the sense of because the amounts are so valuable, the move from a firefighter 1 to a firefighter 2 to a firefighter 3, there's a lot of value there. I'm trying to be careful with my words, but there's a lot of value there, right? We don't have a lot of people stay as a firefighter 2. You have very few firefighters.
The culture right
Actually,
now, yeah.
You
You're not-
can, right? You can choose
yeah,
not
you're right,
to WOC and stay as a firefighter 2.
Actively have to do
How
that.
many do we have?
Not, I mean, for the most part, none.
So the concept would be is now the value is not quite the same when we're saying 4%, 5%, 2%, right? It is not quite the same as the firefighter 2 to the firefighter 3, which is 13, I think, or something, right? But I guess that's kind of where we are, at least in my mind, where I'm seeing the program moving closer to that. But just looking right now, like if we look at senior firefighters and captains, it's about 20% of our people that are still at a 0% step. Now that I didn't get into the minutia of how long they've been there. They recently promoted, but it's about 20% that are getting a 0% step right now.
Mhm.
So I think we're probably going to be closer to the firefighter 3 numbers
Mhm.
than the 0% step numbers. I'm a,
Or their base step, or are you saying for WOC?
I think you're probably going to be, I think you're going to be a very high number to go to step 2.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to probably still see a fair number of people. I don't know what it is. It may be that 20% number that just said, I don't want to work on a class.
Yeah.
Difference, I think, between driver and captain. I think the driver is just an added skill set where captain's a whole different philosophy. So I don't think we're gonna have a lot of guys that promote to senior firefighter and then immediately start working on the task book year 1 and year 2, like, all right, I want to swing. Which is kind of what we do right now with the driver position.
Yeah, I'm just trying to quantify what's a realistic number
And it's challenging.
to do,
Yeah.
right? And I think what we have now is probably conservative. I think year 1 might be a little bit wonky just because I do think that the people who are at 0 or may jump on stuff to finish stuff up, or may just say, hey, I'm going to go knock out that officers academy to get my rate. I think we've shown clear value in the officers academy. So I could see that first year potentially being a low number, if you know what I mean, and the out years coming down a little bit. I'm just trying to figure out how do we potentially tweak the
Awesome.
modeling a little bit to get you guys more comfortable to say
Yeah.
there is value here without either of us taking on either city liability risk or you potential loss of dollars available for base wage.
Mhm.
I mean, that's as simple as it gets, right? The city's assuming, I would say ours is risk and liability.
Right.
Yours is loss of fiscal
Yeah.
Yes.
capability.
Where's the
capacity.
middle? There is a middle.
Right.
We just gotta find it.
Yeah.
So I would ask this is if you guys think about it a little bit, what's a more realistic model that we could potentially, and don't answer it today, come back, right?
Yeah,
Shoot
that's
us an
what I would-
email.
To know if you used a methodology, what would it be?
Yeah.
To figure it out.
I don't think ours is unrealistic, but I totally get what you're saying, especially in that senior firefighter rank where, you know, is it realistic to think in 2 years, could they be working on a class as captain? 100% yes, I believe that they could.
Right.
What percentage will though?
Right.
Yeah.
Is it 80%? Is it 20%? And that's what I don't know. So if we can true up our estimates a little bit more where we both feel a little more comfortable, I don't think we're ever going to know the 100% answer. It's a model for a reason, right?
Mhm.
But if we can get closer, potentially it'll free up some additional. Justin's probably rolling over in his back room.
Well, I think we're all following this pretty fairly. I think.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah. It's just like
what would be realistic?
what's
then? 'Cause
closer,
What you don't
what's-
want to do is get to a point like, sorry, we're out of money. We can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so what would be fair? What would be reasonable? Yeah.
I don't know if it might have to be a telestat for day if we took rolling averages of time and seat. Yeah, that might be a telestat is scary too.
Yeah, well, yes. I think both sides have, I think, enough information at this point to try to kind of recreate what we think would be reasonable and then try to represent. So we could look at some costing from our perspective and maybe even say, here is what we think the costing is and see if we get to kind of a middle ground if you guys want to do the same thing. What we said, I think that.
Yeah, I think at least maybe we can get closer on the assumptions.
Yeah.
And tweak the numbers a little bit.
Yeah.
With the understanding that maybe the city's taking on a little bit more liability, you're taking on a little bit potential loss. How do we get closer on those assumptions? And then, you know, and then I do think it is part of that overall package is at the end of the day, if we get real close with a package and it's $200,000 in career development, is there some comfort level for the city to say, yeah, I'm okay with that liability because we know it may come in at 160.
Right.
So I think it's hard though to live in
It is.
one-offs.
Yeah, this is our probably hardest proposal to really work through with costing and value. And
And I would hate after all of this hard work to see us scrap it. Like that would
Sit past.
cause
Be
me,
6 years
pain.
plus, because we
I
started.
don't want to scrap this one because I think we're close.
Mhm. Yep.
I think we're close.
Yeah. So perfect. Let's do that. Let's kind of say career development. We're gonna work on costing from both sides, see where we're at. And then if we can try to pick up the forecasting slides, just walk through that a little bit more. So we can kind of see total percentages that we think are coming into availability for city.
Oh,
Was it yesterday? Is that where it was?
yeah, let's start with yesterday. And then I think there are a couple of slides actually from our 6-3 kind of opening that might be helpful. There's way more information in that first
Right.
one that we did.
Yeah.
What we did yesterday was like the way slimmed down version. So I've got
back to
both.
6-3.
Actually, yeah, I think there's a slide
Okay.
in the 6-3 that's really helpful. So
Under information, Christine.
under information. So if we go back to our shared folder, go to the 6-3 and then the information. I'm in the PowerPoint. And I think slide 16, Jason might answer one of the questions that you had about like, why are these trend lines like not, why are they so locked together? So slide 16 really shows the revenue and the expenditure. I'm going to say tilted balance beam, tilted scale. I don't know what to call that visual, but so yes, there will be growth in property taxes. We don't have much control, obviously, over how much people are drinking, but hopefully liquor tax will still be there as a revenue source. Sales tax has been really tightly constrained, but we do at least have a path forward to how that revenue might grow. What we're challenged with is we, over this past several years, have come into an imbalance and our expenditures have been outpacing our revenues. And so if you look at the expenditure side, look back at the last contract, right? Property tax growth, 3%, fire 9%, property tax growth, 3%, fire 7%, right? So the expense categories are not neatly growing at the same 3% that the revenues are. And we have other beyond personnel. Personnel is the bulk of the budget, as we talked about across the general fund. It's about 71% of our expenditures is personnel. But if you look at other things, fire engines haven't gotten any cheaper. There's cost escalation on those. The general fund is the primary, we transfer to the capital fund to fund that. We look at insurance. Obviously, we negotiated the trust. There were very robust increases in that because insurance costs have been growing at much more than 3%. Percy has grown and grown. We got lucky this year and they pulled back on the increase we thought they were going to make, but their projection still shows that growing. And things, again, that just have to run the city, software, some of those are growing in the double digits. So what we are trying to do is trying to bring our expenditure growth back into balance with our revenue growth. And so even in, as you said, Boise's lucky, we're booming, times are good, the economy's strong, Micron's going in. Like even with that, it's not enough to offset some of the expenditure growth. And so when we're looking at what's available for the city forecast, this is in the background, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we've been trying to manage. And so let's now jump back to the presentation we did yesterday. I think that visual is helpful to try to explain the concept as to why the expenditure and revenue growth are not widening. So I'm in the deck that we presented yesterday and it's slide number 2. I think, Jason, this might be the one that you were referencing earlier this morning. So when we're looking at our forecast, and again, this is just a 5-year forecast because we're likely not negotiating a 20-year contract. We're likely negotiating something more in a 3, 4, 5, 6-year. What we're looking at with that blue line and the revenue growth, and what we're looking at with the gray line and that expense growth is we're trying to keep the revenue growing and we're trying to bring that expense growth into some balance so that those lines don't go poop and cross the other way. Because that
means we lay
ultimately-
people off.
that means we're laying people off or we're closing facilities like that. We don't want those lines to ever cross, right? We've got to keep those in check. And so when we're looking at the next 3 to 5 years, you can see that blue line and that gray line moving up at different rates. But when we're looking out and saying like in any given year, we think that there's only $3 to $8 million, which is again like 1% of our overall city budget. That's like razor thin margins.
You would reference the 5 million?
Yeah.
That's the 5.
That's the
Right,
5 million, right? Like 5 million is the between
Yeah.
3 and
Yeah.
between 3 and 8. Because in any given year, we have no idea, right? Like this is a forecast. Like we didn't expect the Strait of Hormuz to get closed and our gas prices to go up, right? Like we don't. This is a forecast. This is a crystal ball. So again, what we have built into the expense is we're assuming costs are going to grow, right? Like we can't say like, hey, here we sit and here we shall sit forever. Like we know we're going to have wage growth. We know there's going to be growth we're going to have more costs in insurance or per
Risk
seat.
and liability is a big one right now.
Risk and liability is a
Lot.
huge one.
We're focused a lot on trying to manage those with insurance costs.
So baked into that gray expenses bar is assumed growth in all of those different things. And that's why the blue line doesn't take off, right? Because we're like, yeah, but the gray line's going to go up with the blue
Right.
line.
Yeah.
So this is our best modeling and our best forecasting. And again, I want to drive home and say clearly again for our friends in fire, like this is the whole citywide. Right? Like this has got to cover cost increases that we see in chlorine to put in the swimming pools. This has got to cover cost increases that we see for the software that permitting and licensing that we use for our fire permits. Like all of that stuff are base costs that we got to have to run the city. And at this point, like we are running on razor thin margins. Like any of us running a household budget, like if your household budget is within 1%, right? Like you're sweating it. That's where we are. So I wanted to be really clear. And if we miscommunicated it earlier, the $3 to $8 million is citywide. Like that's not fire.
Mhm.
So that if that helps, like this was not us trying to shortchange it. It's like we're trying to work within this for the entire city.
Yeah, so a couple of questions that I have on this general fund forecast is, we talk about property taxes and we talk about property taxes specifically for benefits. This has, not just property tax in it, it's got the total general fund. With everything that's coming into the general fund along with it when we reference that other slide. So the liquor tax, the sales tax, all those other things.
Yeah.
So we broke it down and we took everything away and we said, property taxes is what the city uses to fund fire. And we just looked at property tax revenue and then looked at when saying, here's our property tax revenue, here's our increase to property tax revenue, here is the total dollars that are available if we apply that to fire. That's more along the lines of where we're looking at things.
So let me say this another way, make sure I got it. So I think what you're asking for is disregard the rest of the city. What is our 5-year projection for the fire budget?
Yes,
Is that
Yep.
a different way to say
Yep.
it? Because. Okay.
Okay.
There are actually other revenues that come into fire, right?
Yep.
Like you do have credit fees
Yep.
and the contract and
Yep.
all. Yeah.
Like for what he,
Okay,
yep,
okay. That might get us closer.
yeah. I think it would help for us to
To
see,
break it out.
yeah, in a dollar figure, what the increase to property taxes does per year that is available for fire.
yeah, I don't know if we budget it that way though, right? I mean, we
know.
budget propose like
That's what I'm
we
trying to
have
get.
projections for some costs by department, right? But it's not necessarily, we don't necessarily say how it's gonna be funded. Like if liquor tax went up 200% next year,
Right,
there wouldn't be, there isn't like, oh, liquor tax can't fund any general fund stuff, right? It goes into the overall revenue of the city that COVID hit, right? The liquor went way through the roof. It wasn't like that money was like, oh, that's only for PDS because.
yeah.
So would it be fair to say that the city doesn't use only property taxes to fund personnel?
I think it's hard because it's all, I think the answer is yes. I don't want to speak for Justin. But I would say yes. I mean, I think all revenue sources go into the city coffers, right? And franchise fees, everything. Where we do get like some restrictions is like with the enterprise funds or with like PDS development fees,
Yeah.
things
Some
like
of
that.
their
That's
sewer bill
reimbursed.
can't go to fire. That has to go to public works.
So there is some restrictions
Right.
like that, but I don't want to speak for budget again. It'd probably be worthy of me stopping talking now, but the way that I understand it is there was a number of line item revenue sources.
Yeah.
All those
Yeah.
go to funding.
Well, in some years, there are huge transfers to the general fund because we're opening Station 13,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that was a very intentional.
We've worked off of a model often, and we have been, I think, talked about often that property taxes are the only thing that can fund. And it's a theoretical to me. That's a budgeting philosophy, if you will. And that you try to not live outside of that because property taxes are more guaranteed than a liquor tax and a sales tax.
It's consistent.
Right,
you know.
it's the
Yeah,
consistent,
so I
yeah.
understand the
Yeah, yeah,
philosophy,
yeah.
but we have heard often very consistently, property taxes is the only money we can use to fund. So it was just a clarity for me.
Yeah, I don't.
If you go to slide 17, if you want
Okay.
to bring that up on the initial presentation under 6.3,
I just like.
it
Oh, there
might,
we go.
it might bring some clarity.
Mhm.
So this is not showing growth. This is just showing the different revenue sources as a percentage of the overall pie.
Sure.
I think the connection we've been trying to make, and we can bring Justin back in, because I also don't want to misspeak. I think the connection we've been trying to make
Yeah.
is
I think.
on slide 17, the stuff in green. Right, so the property tax, sales tax, liquor tax, franchise fees to some degree. The percentages that those add up to roughly represent the percentage of the budget that is personnel on slide 19 and is also coded in green.
Mhm.
So I think what we've been trying to say is not so much that there's a restriction or a one-to-one direct tie of property tax to personnel budget, but like as goes property tax,
Mhm.
so ought go personnel, because the percentage of them is so close.
Yeah.
And because property taxes are the more guaranteed, stable source, we prefer to look to property taxes for personnel so that we don't get in a situation where, well, now everyone got healthy and we decided alcohol causes cancer and is bad, so we're not drinking anymore and we have to lay people off.
Mhm.
Like, that's trying, so I think that's more what we were trying to say and trying to make that nexus as illustrative, but not like a necessary direct one-to-one tie. I don't know if that helps.
Sure, it does help. So within this, I'm still on slide number 19 and it's got the
Okay.
71% is going to personnel. I'm assuming that is personnel throughout the entire city,
Yes.
not just,
Well, general fund. So this isn't airport, this isn't public works, the general fund employees. Yeah,
because the airport's got its own
About
their own
fund
money.
budget.
close to 1,600.
Public Works does as well. They've got their own. And is that just
Portions of it.
curiosity? That's just like through, direct
Their
taxing
fees.
levy rates, or is it
It's
just
no taxes at all. They
Fees.
operate basically like a
revenue?
for-profit business.
Yeah, okay.
So the airlines pay rental fees, a portion of everybody's plane ticket flows through. So that the airport and much of public works, they actually they operate almost like a for-profit, almost separate entity. So when we're looking at this general fund,
Mhm.
that's for the most part, parks, library,
Shared service.
shared services, so all like IT, finance,
Police, fire.
HR, fire, police.
Yeah.
General fund.
So is it fair to say reasonably, police and fire take up 50% of the total general fund,
Roughly.
roughly?
A little bit more.
Fire then equates to roughly 25% of the total general fund. I know it's been
Yeah.
25 point,
Yep.
Yeah.
but yes,
That's, yeah, talking in generality, I think those are accurate numbers,
Yeah.
or is the way I understand them.
Personnel is roughly 20%. Fire personnel.
okay, so if we're looking at the total general fund and we're saying that we're making up 25% of that budget. And the other slide where we were looking at, this kind of path, and we've got property tax that comes in at up to a 3% increase to the budget. Would it make sense then that 3% increase to the budget reasonably could be a direct flow straight through to fire personnel wages and availability of money out of that general fund?
I think that's a fair representation. I mean, that's what we're trying to get back into balance is if the revenues coming in can only grow at 3%, we're trying to figure out how to make the expenses going out roughly match that.
Mm.
So yes, I think that's a fair deduction.
Okay,
Yeah, I think the hard part is though, is there's discretion in there, right? From a city standpoint is, I don't think, if there's $8 million, I don't think that's available. Or let's do $4 million because I can do the math in my head, right? But it's not like $1 million is automatically assigned to fire for new expenses.
so.
If that's where you're
yes,
heading.
what you're saying is that, let's assume the city budget is $100 million, there's a 3% increase. That money does not apply directly as a 3% to fire.
I mean, that's,
And why is that? If we're trying to maintain
Yeah, I think
a
the-
budget of,
5 million is new resources though, so it's like existing resources would still grow, I think.
Sure,
At
and-
3%.
yes, and
so we're trying to keep our existing
Yep.
things grow at 3%.
Mhm.
That net new, like that's where we would look to open a new station, to go to 4-person staffing. Right, like the net new is truly for new things. That's kind of back to the growth paying for growth that we were talking about, right? So we're assuming that our existing continues. And that 3% is factored into wage growth, cost of software, that net new is for, as we have thought about it, as mayor and council talk about it, like that is for new investments.
Mhm.
So baked into our ongoing expenses is an assumption that people sitting around the table today will get more money as years go by, right?
Yeah.
The 3 to 8 in new money is really like, that was how we opened Station 13. We added 13 firefighters at 4-person staffing with a new station, new engine, like all of that. Like that's how we think about
Mhm.
the 3 to 8 is like, we are going to have to keep expanding services as the city grows.
So there's years we get way more than that. There's years we get very little.
Hmm.
Right? When we open a station, it's $2 to $3 million, right?
Yeah.
And then there's.
So when we're talking about that 3%, and that's where my understanding is not quite aligning, I think, with where budgeting is coming from. If we have a 3% increase to the budget, and we're saying that 3% should easily be able to apply directly to personnel, but yet that 3% sometimes is going to be used to fund stations and fund other things. I think that's the conversation of where that $3 to $8 million is, and it really becomes more of a philosophical decision that the city is making versus a direct correlation of money coming into the budget that should then equivalently be applied to personnel.
I think what you just said is accurate, that it's not necessarily budgeted that way.
Mhm.
Where it's not like you take the 3% property taxes and you automatically assign it over to a 3% personnel increase. We do budget though for that kind of stuff, but it doesn't have to all come out of the property tax increase.
Right.
It's
So theoretically,
the general fund, like that slide that shows
Yeah.
all the unrestricted.
Yeah.
All that is funding general fund
Right.
flexible expenses.
which could be a lot of other things. So it's a philosophical of, during this time, we're saying there's only $3 to $8 million available because money is being allocated to other projects, and we're using those as priorities. Currently, to where there's only $3 to $8 million available for new projects.
I think
Yeah.
I have it, I
Yeah.
can see a visual in my head, but I need to get it into a slide.
Yeah.
Cause my words aren't saying it, but I think I can,
Maybe it'd be best to have Justin assist too, because I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like he's certainly the most knowledgeable. And maybe I'll just correct us all rather than,
Yeah,
well,
he might be able to articulate this better.
I'm. Where?
Go ahead.
Well, okay, I'm gonna try one more time.
Yeah.
Let's go back to our original slide deck, 6.3.
Okay.
And there's a nifty little slide 22.
To our $5 million slide.
Our $5 million,
Three to eight.
I'm coming back to our.
Three to
five-
eight, 5
I'm coming
million.
back to our 5 million. Okay, I'm gonna try to bring
Yeah.
it back. So what? I'm gonna speak about fiscal year 27, because that's the bill that we were in. So again, this is illustrative. This is not exactly tying out to an exact, but we're
Yeah.
saying if in any given year, there's $3 to $8 million. This slide just says, let's just call it 5 a year to
Sure.
make it easy,
Sure.
right? Like simple math.
Okay, I hope you're okay with this. I want to try to process through this as we're going.
Yeah, please.
So 2027, the city says we have $5 million available. 2028, we have a new year, new property taxes, new budget with a 3% growth, but yet our $5 million is not growing by 3%. It is staying static. Why is it not growing by 3%? It's a budget.
It's because of the expense growth. Because the expenses are growing faster than the revenues are coming in.
Buildings that haven't had maintenance. I mean, the list is long of the expenses that compound year
Sure.
over year.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think that's what we were trying to get at in this slide. So hypothetically, in FY 27, there's 5 million new dollars available.
Mhm.
Property tax growth, new construction, liquor tax, sales tax, like
Okay.
all that stuff, right? So if in 27 there was a net new 5, the orange box is meant to represent the imbalance, right? Because our
Yep.
expenses are outpacing. So in that new year where there's 5 million new dollars available, there's already 1.5 coming out of it because stuff is growing. Our expenses are growing at a higher
Right.
cost. So then we've got 3.5 million to work with. In this budget, and the way that mayor and council directed staff was like, hey, instead of spending all of that, instead of committing all of that to base increases that will go on forever and always, we got to address this. The orange 1.5 million of our expenses are growing faster than our revenues. So commit that to base increases
Mhm.
that will carry through. And then let's put the rest of that 5 million, the green 3.5 million that's remaining, and just commit it to one-time investments in FY 27
Mhm.
so that we preserve flexibility
Sure.
moving forward.
So understand that. And then if we look at this slide specifically, then we go to 2028. And now our 1.5 million that was run the business just doubled. Why would there be a reason that our run the business would double instead of move up as a percentage that it costs to run the business? We're not getting double paid. So,
Strait of Hormuz closed and
Sure.
fuel costs.
but
So that's what those boxes are meant to represent. So we're projecting that next year in FY 28, something's gonna go up more than 3% again. I don't know if it's insurance. I don't know if it's
Contracts.
a contract for, I don't know what it is, but it's safe to assume that again, expenses are probably going to outpace that 3% growth. So now we've got the orange bar from this year and whatever those new exceeds 3% growth expenses are represented in the blue bar. So again, our green bar gets smaller. It's because we're out of whack.
sure. So I've got one question if we're out of whack. If we are out of whack and our expenses are outpacing, why did we choose to take 2.7% property tax increase instead of taking a 3% property tax increase and bringing money in to be able to help either expand our $5 million or to lower the expenses?
Yeah, I think the answer to that is quite simply, everyone that is paying taxes in the city of Boise is feeling the same financial stress that we are. And we heard loud and clear from our constituents that they are having deep affordability concerns. Housing prices going up, gas prices, grocery prices. And so this is us trying to be responsible stewards of taxpayer dollars and say, hey, there are some things that are within our control. We understand that everyone is feeling pinched right now, and we are beholden to our taxpayers, right? Like, we're not spending funny money. We are spending taxpayer dollars, and they told us they're hurting and they are not happy with seeing property tax at its max growth, nor are they comfortable seeing us taking the full amount of foregone that we could. So this is really the frustrating thing is that we're all feeling the same pressure. The firefighters, the general employees, like everyone is feeling the same financial pressure. as our taxpayers
Mhm.
that we're going to get the money from. And so I think what we're trying to do is take care of our employees the best that we possibly can, understanding that wage growth and inflation are really tough right now. Boise saw a huge growth in housing costs. However, it's ultimately the taxpayers that are paying this. And so what we're trying to do, again, like we're just doing our very best to be responsible stewards of this taxpayer dollars. Bless you. And I don't think it's a good look right now. And I think it's very hard to make a compelling case as to why we would be raising taxes and raising public servant salaries when our taxpayers aren't maybe seeing that in their lives and in their private sector. So this is the tightrope that we're trying to walk. And I think mayor and council made the right decision on that based on what we heard from the community and from our constituents. Everybody is feeling this pinch right now. And I think us saying we're not taking that full growth was the best we could do to keep the city operating, do the best we can to maintain our wage competitiveness, but acknowledge that the community is feeling this pinch and we're trying to work with them and help them through it. So it's not just us as employees are feeling this. I think we're part of a larger community that's feeling these affordability pressures, and we're trying to thread the needle on this. How do we keep our workforce whole and competitive, but how do we also respond to these real economic pressures that our taxpayers are facing? So I think that's the tough place we're in.
Yeah. And I can definitely understand kind of the taxing implication for citizens out there. But again, if we're taking a 2.7% increase, I think citizens would easily understand that trickling down to public safety for them to be able to get equivalent cost of living increases that are applied. What doesn't make a lot of sense to me is when a city goes out and taxes people in its community and then doesn't apply those kind of effectively. If we're saying that the economy, the budget for the city is really tight, that we're kind of upside down, that's when the city has to make a decision. That decision really comes down to important factors, which are going to be employees in the city, and then you have streets, sewers, public safety. So in those times, if we're in those times, and that's the city's perspective is we're in these really tight times, then it's time to stop feeding money into other projects and focus that money into the reality of if we're tight, when budgets get tight, this is the focus. And a reasonable cost of living for the employees that come through. We did it for general employees. Again, if we're looking at where were we across the board with general employees, with other employees in the city, everybody saw reasonable raises that were close to a 2.7% or above, that at least comes out to kind of a reasonable position for cost of living. It feels like we're taking with that initial offer, taking up front of, well, we're going to have you firefighters help pay for where we are in the city.
But when you're saying 2.7% or 2.6 actually is what was the general fund, that's 2.6 all in. That's everything.
Sure.
Your package is, let's say it's 3%.
Yeah.
We would have to stay within 3% all in. So of course your base wages may not be the same as, because a 3% for me is not the same as 3% for you. So I think we're balancing that entirety, whereas because the structure is simpler and there isn't all of these different pay components in the general population, when you see a 2.6, it's just that, it's 2.6. That is.
Plus bonus. Money was available for bonuses.
Well, we
It's-
used that money
We cashed it in.
to cash it in to give them the 2.6 to put it in the base because we couldn't afford to do the entirety in both. So this year we will not do performance bonuses.
For 2027.
Yes. And that was, again, these
That was
compromises.
a hard decision.
Yeah,
But we
choice.
felt that was what employees wanted. We felt employees would much prefer the base than they would the performance bonus. And so we made that decision and it was a trade-off. But I do want to reinforce when we're talking about, and actually all in for the general population, Justin reminded me, is actually 2.5% all in, with the entirety of the increases we made. And so again, it's the pay structures. When you're doing apples to apples, you have to be cautious about that because base wage is a big part of this, but there's all these other aspects that we're working on that are going to be a component of that as well.
I think it will be helpful. This discussion has been so good because I think we're starting to tease out some of the nuances and some of how we should be thinking and talking about this. I think what will be helpful when we have our whiz-bang financial modeler back in next week, I think we can really start, as I said, the packages that we looked at, both your opening package and our opening package, we had some really good Questica numbers, but then we had this kind of base wage hanging out there on the side. And we all know because of the complex nature of the contract that base wage drives a whole bunch of other. I think next week it would be really good to start to narrow this down, come down the funnel a little more, get a little closer on this, and then really load it in and show how even a 0.5% or a 1% of base increase, like what that really means to your members once it makes its way all the way through standard composite over time, right? Like really get back to that full picture. Because I think that's the missing component when we're comparing a 2.5% base increase for general employees, like a 1% in fire, like that may feel like, what on earth? But as it makes its way all the way through the system, I think we can show like what a member really captures and realizes of that and how that looks on a closer apples to apples. Because again, we're not trying to put this on the backs of firefighters. We're not trying to unfairly put more into this employee population than that employee population. It's the nature of how a base increase in fire flows through your whole compensation package, and it adds up to much, much more in combination with really robust investments in some of these other economic packages. We just couldn't get to it right now today, but I think we could get there next week and show what that full package looks like and what the overall win for the member is in a better and more robust way. I'm sorry we couldn't do that overnight when one of Justin's go-tos is out and we didn't want to mess up Questica and give you bad information. But I think we can get to that next week.
And even the longevity, right? That's another discussion topic too, right? Where longevity is building in that 0.55% every year. Which is
Every
a
year.
base rate increase automatically, rightfully so, right? I think not arguing that.
But there is some built-in.
Where a general employee doesn't have that.
Yeah.
I think as we've been costing out too, part of, I think, Shiv, where you're going with some of this, we've been working on some historical piece of the pie percentage to build our budgets, trying to be good stewards as we come for ask. When I say, okay, if we look at the general fund one lens to say that fire occupies a historical 25% of that budget, personnel being at 20% roughly of that budget, we say, okay, what could we look at there? Or if we say, what does property tax revenues, one that it helps fund sustainable base growth, what is our historical percent occupation of that revenue been? And so we say, oh, okay, if we're roughly a third of that, then we apply to what that budget looks. That's how we come up to say, here's what we have to work with. When we've had for costing and proposals and we've worked with, we say, we think this is a reasonable ask because we're operating within the margins that maintain that percentage of those revenues. That's where we've been coming at. So I think we're trying to find is why has that shrunk so much for our availability of funding to use?
Let's go back. So in that first day deck, so the 6-3 deck, slide 21. And this is a look back. I think we could build this slide out to also do a look forward. that it would be helpful, but slide 21 really shows what base salary adjustments by employee group have looked like. And again, this is not at all apples to apples because the fire base does not equal general employee base because your base increase then gets multiplied up through everything else. So if we look back, and we talked about this before, fire's base increase has averaged over the past 7, 8 years at a 5%. And again, that's base. So everything multiplies off of that. So the actual is much, much, much higher than that. And you'll see general employees have been at that 3, right? Trying to keep the cost in line with the property growth. You'll see police is a little higher, also a bargaining unit. But I think what part of what we're seeing is you're looking historically, and I'm saying historically that has been dramatically outpacing what our revenues can support moving forward. And so what we're trying to do is bring that somewhat back into alignment so that it is sustainable.
I think I can at least see the perspective there. I think it was a drastic shift, right? Like the idea that we're going to try to bring everything to an alignment in a 4-year contract is pretty harsh. I think reality. for
Opening
us.
package, Jason,
I-
opening package.
Again, I have seen a lot of,
You with exceeded the entire city's flexibility. So opening package, my friend,
if we look
back
at,
in
if we
reality.
look at our average growth for fire, where we have been every year at 5%, and we look at our opening package, we were already below our average for our opening package. We came in with a reasonable opening package of where we thought we were going to be. Looking at the budget, understanding positions of the city, we came in underneath our average growth. I think that speaks volumes of where we were comparatively to where the city came in with their initial package proposal.
We are excited to see your counter.
All right.
With that, Cool. Think
How
that-
about that? I'm getting hungry, man.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
gotta
I know,
take
I know.
lunch at some point. I'm gonna get
Computers
angry.
about this.
Oh, the blood sugar is plummeting.
The other one we had too is to see if it, the ask before we came back was a just wages cost, a WOC total cost for the past 3, and then $1 per position of swing. We may already have that. We just,
I don't, I have to get it.
okay,
That we needed,
okay.
we needed more
The
than
only-
15 minutes
The
on
only
that.
thing I did
Alright, yeah.
verify was in the career development is he's using budget amounts to subtract, not
Actuals.
actuals.
Okay.
So. I thought we should. And then, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not sure how that, if that comes out ahead or behind or
Sure.
somewhere in the middle. But that's what he's using, he's subtracting out budget amounts. But it's still good.
Thank
So with that, I think that I would kind of entertain the idea of us breaking for lunch, probably breaking for the day so that we can, it's going to take us some time to kind of work on
Absolutely.
counters.
Yep.
And then if you get the information, kind of on some of the further costing on WC, if you could share.
We can send that, absolutely.
That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we will work on obviously kind of the costing and then potentially a counter proposal. I think it's just going to take some work to see if Tuesday we are ready with a counter proposal or if it'll be, some more costing questions as we work through numbers and finance. So-
And feel free to send more questions on the 6th, right? Like we're all here,
Yeah.
it's a working day. So
Sure.
if there are more questions on the 6th that we can try to turn around for you to get into the
Perfect.
7th. Yeah,
Perfect.
let us know.
All right. Well, yeah, with that, I think we will break.
Is it now a happy Fourth of July?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a happy
Be
4th of
safe.
July.
Be safe.
All of them.
No fireworks in the foothills.
Yeah.
Make good choices.
Not in the foothills, that's
Okay.